This show is part of the Transpodcaster Visibility Initiative.
Rumor has it he might be MCU's Wolverine.
So, but like I said, I'll hand it to him. The roles I've seen him in outside of Potter have always impressed me. From Horns is a slow movie, but it's a good slow.
So, anyways, since this is quote unquote Sasha After Dark, the podcast of Darkness reboot, we kind of hopped into the middle of a conversation here, but I kind of figure it's a good way to roll into a show. But Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, your podcast, things.
You mean I have a podcast? When did that happen? When the freak did that happen? Oh shit!
It's been keeping me busy at work, so.
Oh god, when did that shit happen? I have a podcast that has, I want to say stalled. It's sputtering along. It's been sputtering along. It's called the Long Coat Mafia Podcast. We have a YouTube channel, which I still have a video to edit and upload before I get the next damn box in. And record that. It's mostly pop culture related, if and when I have time. Maybe a few lost media episodes. Hopefully, it's a little bit of everything.
It's a hodgepodge.
It's a hodgepodge. It's me. I'll swing for those who are Sasha's audience or whoever sees this. There are times I might lean closer to Sasha's viewpoints, and other times it might come off I'm completely conservative in regards to it. That's why I don't mind talking. I won't say don't mind. I like talking with Sasha because it's a wonderful counterpoint to what I'm talking about. And it's why I love it as much as over the past 2 or 3 years that I've done with the show. It's mostly just me ranting and raving. I don't like it because I don't have pushback. And it's one of the episodes I want to do is about talking. Heck, we might find a day just to talk about it and have, either you set up the meeting and we do something similar that we are doing tonight, and I can record it, strip the audio, and so forth and so on. Because I want to do something about indie movies and a lot of the issues that a lot of the mainstream media has been happening, and I want to do it justice. And I don't want to be coming off completely asinine and sounding very extreme or close to Steven Crowder-esque, if you know what I mean.
Nothing wrong with Crowder. I like Crowder.
I'm just saying, with his lines or his conservative standpoints at times.
Wait. Crowder's conservative, or am I thinking of the other Crowder? Because I'm thinking of the redneck liberal.
Steven Crowder, as in the YouTuber Mug Club.
I'm thinking of the redneck liberal whose last name is also Crowder. I wonder if they're related.
I don't know. I'm talking about the change my mind guy.
Oh, okay.
So, that's what I mean. And I don't want to come off completely like that. And would rather have somebody pushing back and at least keeping me on track and have a counter viewpoint. And I think you are I won't say the perfect person, but a great person to give more of the opposing viewpoint, if you can understand.
That sounds perfect to me. I am, after all, filled with glorious purpose. So.
And glorious rage.
Yes. Well, it's been kinder, gentler, Sasha, these days. Medication. Wow. Hormone therapy. It's a hell of a drug. Even Al had to check on me when we were watching Last of Us recently, which we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get into
But he had to check on me, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're in tears." Are you
But
okay? Are you broken? Like, yeah.
but and and folks, you'll when we get into talking about Last of Us, you'll see a little bit almost of that conservative side, that that swing side to me in regards to it. But it's not may not be what you think, Sasha. But
No, no.
it's I've been focusing a little bit more on the YouTube and unboxing stuff and talking about stuff and having uh initial reactions to what I've gotten. So far last year we had well, there's my English teachers teaching me. It's like when you do something like this, don't say you. Make it sound like there's more of you. Use the royal version, the third person. Say we.
Yeah.
It makes it sound better.
We are Legion. We
We
are
are
one.
Legion.
We
We
are
are one.
many.
We are we are the mob. We are the mafia.
You are the Podfather.
The Podfather. But in a minute.
I'm in a
So
minute.
in a minute. But
We're gonna have to merchandise that at some point.
at some point. But I got and this is probably something we'll talk on later. It's probably in the show notes, but still, folks, stay tuned. I got a
He thinks I
book.
have notes.
I
I,
have
I,
any,
I'm faking being professional, but there are no notes.
but I got a D&D book from an independent creator that is like 3 inches thick, and I did a whole initial reaction to my purchase, the whole getting it, and I've watched a lot of creators on YouTube that say it's okay to get the hate. Have one video that you're getting nothing but hate on. It helps you get that thicker skin.
Hey, I've
And
told you before, what is a
so
hater? A hater is just a confused fan.
and because they're like, well, it changed. I'm like, wait a minute. The video I made in regards to the practices and how they did things, because a rinky dink YouTuber with less than
The
100
most hated
subscribers.
podcast.
Yes. With less than 100 subscribers at the time, got them to change how they sold their shit. And I'm like, wow, that was quick. By the time I went to Weiss and back to get, some grub for the night, they changed it and they sent me all the stuff that they was Roll20 exclusive. I'm like, wow.
Well,
We'll get
similar
into that.
story to that actually, because I have been re-examining recent media that has like trans representation in it, or as I like to say, misrepresentation. And so I'll reach out to places I know that are showing certain films that do have problematic trans representation in it and be like, hey, what are you doing to kind of offset this negativity? It may only be in subtext. Most of it's not. Most of it's pretty fucking blatant. But what are you doing? And it was interesting. I actually had the Lodge out of Hagerstown, like the premier four-state LGBTQ club with outgoing upstate, to Harrisburg or further downstate into Frederick and your neck of the woods.
Right.
Yeah, there are a few clubs down there, believe it or not. I'm kind of shocked. Most of them usually are fly by night and disappear, but I digress. But anyways, I approached the lodge. I presented my arguments as to, hey, maybe having a Rocky Horror themed party for Halloween is not the best idea. I said because you're going to turn away a lot of your trans patrons. And I said, and here's why. I said the representation in that film, because Frankenfurter is represented as trans using dated language such as transvestite and transsexual. Nobody uses those terms now except adult entertainment. Nothing wrong with that because again, we're on OnlyFans, so yay. But it's dated language. Some people consider it a slur. And I said, and the character is shown to not only be a murderess, but also a rapist through deception, who in the end gets murdered by her own people. I'm like, yeah, sure. Richard O'Brien, the creator of Rocky Horror, well, co-creator, does identify as trans. But if you also look up their name, they say transphobic stuff on a regular basis and also wish that they were dead on a regular basis. It kind of makes you think. And I said, most people look at it, laugh, consider it a midnight movie, but think about the subtext you're sending about the trans community.
Yeah.
And the lodge was like, yeah, we've done this for years and nobody's ever presented it to us like that. We're going to make it an 80s slasher party. I'm like, oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I convinced you?
Yeah,
Most
but
people were like, and fuck off.
With that particular company, they took my YouTube link because I put it. I thought I was being a smart ass by putting a link in one of their adverts to boost my video. That's how they watched it and changed stuff. They took that link, they put it on their Discord, and that particular video is like now over 1.2K or 1.3K, and it's gotten a lot of downvotes. It's gotten a lot of negative, like I get, this is not a review, it's a reaction. Like, that's what it is. I reviewed what it is a review. I reviewed what I got, and it's like I couldn't watch it because it's an hour. It's this, it's that. I'm like, well, it's hate. It's letting me have that one video to get the hate, get that thick skin, and I enjoy it. I can't wait to get the Kickstarter stuff in, and talk about that. And it's just, folks, burnout. Sasha knows it. I know it. Heck, I think you saw Mick Manhattan's post that he's starting to get burnout. It
happens.
It happens.
I mean, he had a whole network he was running for the time. There was shows popping off all day long, and he was still working a regular job and trying to manage all these other podcasts on top of it, plus create his own content. It's like, dude, I recently had 2 heart attacks myself trying to manage everything, plus a job full of stress because I get to deal with teenagers and the aftermath of teenagers on a regular basis, hence the alcohol. So,
and the thing is, with me, it's like you've been through my journey most of. I think we met 5 years ago.
When was that first Comic-Con there in Waynesboro? It was
like
very
might be in 2016, 2016.
Yeah. So it has been 7 years.
Roughly, I think that's when I first met you, was at that first Waynesboro Comic-Con, that first 4th State out of that roller rink. And it kind of might have grown from there because I think I saw 1 or 2 of your posts on Facebook at the time, and it just went from there. But it up until even last year, it's me just trying to deal with everything, get guests, get met. It's not, a lot of folks will tell you, oh, it's so easy getting your ducks in a row. Dude, podcasting, if you got a group, it's similar to D&D. You don't have ducks, they're squirrels, and they're addicted to crack, caffeine, and heroin all at the same time. They're not going to be in a row, okay? That's the issue.
It's squirrels. They're at a rave, squirrels. And somebody gave them acid.
Right. They're on acid. They're on cocaine.
Good acid, the blotter kind.
The good acid. They're on cocaine
and
ecstasy, and they're sipping espresso. Yep. You're not getting them in a row, and one person doing that is a lot. And with me going on 2.5 years ago, coming down with type 2, being in the hospital for 2 weeks, and having sepsis. Folks, sepsis is look it up. It's something you don't want to fuck with, right? It's gangrene's nastier cousin. It wasn't for me. It's having sepsis. It's not like, oh, you had sepsis by your stomach or on your leg. This was my head and neck. And I think since then I might have had some sort of change because my motivation seemed to have dropped. Like, I'm just It feels right now I'm going through the motions. I need a break. I need to slow things down. But there's also that part of me that's like, I gotta keep going.
You got to create.
I gotta create. I love creating. I love it. It's like part of me does not want the show to die. I'll put up stuff when I'm ready to put up. So I've been doing a little bit more YouTube because it seems a little bit more relaxed. I have time to flex and just do video. And
I'm surprised you don't do TikTok, like those little 5-minute jobs and being done with it.
Last month, and for not last month, December, a buddy of mine, one of the folks that's in my D&D group, she gave everybody a D&D advent calendar. So I figured, I haven't done YouTube shorts in a while. I haven't done TikTok in a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I could I'll open up each one of the calendar dates as a YouTube short, and I'll do one for TikTok. And that's what I did for both YouTube and TikTok. And that's how I got up to over 113 subscribers on YouTube now. It only took me like 7 years.
I'm still setting it like I haven't looked into YouTube in a while. It's either 300 or 400 or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, but
you got to actually be signed up for YouTube for that number to actually show. So you may actually have people that follow you and look at your videos at least once a week, and you don't realize it because they're not signed up for YouTube, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a little bit of everything, but exception of a few spikes, I'm averaging maybe about not even 10%. It's usually 2 or 3 views. I do have recurring views on a lot of stuff. I have one in the bank that I got to edit together and post up, but it's weird.
We do what we can.
We do what we can and when we can. It's one schedule. I think last week I would have done it, but I had doctor's appointment. I had lab work to go do. This week I have another doctor's appointment I got to go do. And after that, go straight up to where I'm employed at now. But it's going to be, by the end of the week, I'm going to be damn drained. And it's just, it wears you out, especially, but Sasha, you know about it because you're like me, you're vehically impaired. And having to, my one doctor is like 2 miles in one direction. And after I get done with that, good chance when I'm done, it's going to be after 10 o'clock. And I'm going to have to at least try to make sure I have bus money on me so I don't have to walk all the way back the 2 miles back into town. So I could walk another 2-3 miles. So I'm like, no, just let me take the bus back into town. That way I can at least save my feet from going all the way up to where I need to go later in the day, earn some sort of money. So
yeah,
it's
the hustle, man. It wears out after a while. It happens. Speaking of the hustle, though, where can people find you? What details? I want to go ahead and get that out of the way before we get into the conversation, because, like I said, this is the reboot, and then I'll give some of our newbies my introduction once you.
Yes. You should find us. I'll give you the main website. It is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and just click on any of the episodes that are there, and it gives you all the links. I should have a link tree, but I've been too stinking lazy to do a link tree. But it's there. That's the best place to go. You can find at least all the episodes there, all 350 some odd, I think, and slowly growing.
And you can also find them on YouTube, like through the Longcoat Mafia podcast.
Yeah.
And all over most of social media as well.
Right. There's links leading to one way or another to those. So
he also has a few episodes on Spotify. So
yes, I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the whole nine. So even Google Podcasts, you could find me there. So I'm lurking around somewhere.
Yeah, you helped me with a big plumbing problem the other night and kept me sane while I was taking care of a significant plumbing backup in a kitchen at the high school in which I work. Fun times. So you kept me from cussing that night. You did all the cussing for me. Thank you.
Wait a minute. What was that? What was the other?
I was listening to you on Spotify.
Oh, which episode?
It's hard to say. I usually just pick one and let it fly.
Oh, so if it was me just cursing up a storm, it could have been anything.
Yeah,
So
any number of things.
any other number of episodes.
Yeah,
So,
I rotate between you, Ken K, so at random with Ken K, uh, the last podcast on the left, which is the greatest name for a podcast. If you get a chance, check them out. Hilarious guys. Um, Nightmare on the Film Street. I listen to them. And then, of course, Josh's podcast, Victims and Villains, and then Mix, the Scene Snobs. So, but you're on that list. You're on my rotation.
The only thing I've been listening to as of late, I have to start listening to on the way home, is it's usually a toss up between three. One is Mr. Creepypasta. He does a lot of short stuff. He does a lot of some of his long form is like, oh, I'm going to put all these individual episodes together and do one long complete thing. He does a lot of short form creepypasta readings, which I, as a horror fan, I don't really have time to read a lot of novels or ebooks. It gives me something to listen to if I want to listen to.
Channel Zero is always fun too because they are like adapted creepypastas to TV.
So there's one that he's friends with. I think it's Creeps McPasta. I think that's what his name is. But I would have to pull it up. But he does good readings too. It's one of like 2 or 3 people that I tend to listen to. The only mainstream podcast I tend to listen to is How Did This Get Made? And I haven't. When I last checked in with them, there was nothing really interesting to listen to. They've been posting a lot of their old content, and it's like I don't really want to listen to all that, and so it's been kind of like hard to keep up. Sometimes I don't listen to them, not in the mood. I should be listening to some of my when I'm sharpening axes, I should be listening to a few creepypastas, but it's kind of hard to do so while I'm working. I don't want to be hiding too much.
I'm not like you. In, you'll be all right. That's what I do.
So that's what I do when I'm in the back room sharpening axes. I'll put an earbud in and
there you go.
I'll watch. I won't say watch. I'll listen to like Philip DeFranco and get my news in. So, and maybe 1 or 2 others to get some of what's going on in pop culture wise. That's why a lot of folks like my partner in crime, other partner in crime, Big Candy, he was like, how do you know? It's like, I'm keeping track. I'm still part of that culture. I'm keeping track of all this shit. That's why it's not easy.
It's not. It's not easy. It never is. It never is. So, and since we're going to have a couple of different new audiences here, because like I said, this is debuting first on OnlyFans. So yes, Chris, this is your OnlyFans premiere.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh.
Yay, goat fans everywhere.
Goat fans everywhere. Folks, that's a long damn story. And it's, as I've told you, as I've told all the folks that are in that in-joke, my Facebook account is public. There have been times I've said, that thought has crossed my mind. How many times, if anything, she has looked up my name, my account on Facebook has come up, and she's seen the occasional goat joke pop up, and she does not even know what it means, but she sees the usual band of idiots always hitting that smile button, and there's always a few people like, oh, it's a goat, like, like, oh God, don't you guys know? I think on Facebook she goes by Rebecca Phoenix. Mm-hmm. She's done a lot of the 4-State stuff. She sells all those like Digimon and the plushies and all that.
Okay, I've seen.
and she posted up like a goat thing, and I'm like, usually my standard response is like the derivative from Indiana Jones, like goats. Why does it always have to be goats? And just
But no, Chris and I have been frequent collaborators, big words, for like 7 years now. We're good friends. We talk, we communicate. He's he's a good guy. I swear, despite looking like a disheveled mess at the moment, he's a good guy.
I always look like a disheveled mess.
I swear, he's not just sharpening axes because of his weekend hobbies as a hillbilly. Promise. He's more like Dale from Tucker and Dale. We'll have to get you a get her done hat.
If it's going to be a Dale, I'd rather be like Dale Dribble.
You've not seen Tucker and Dale, I take it.
No, I know what you mean, but it's like
Tyler Levine's character.
Yeah. But some days I feel like Dale from King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
Yeah, there's Pocket-san. Yeet.
Yeet.
So.
But for anybody who is listening, I, of course, am Sasha Constantine Moreau, aka Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. I'm a horror hostess. Just look for Sasha, the Princess of Darkness on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yes, I actually have my blue check mark on Twitter now. Amazing. And then, of course, now we're on OnlyFans, FetLife.
Yes, Sasha paid the $8 for the blue check mark.
Yes, I did. I'm like,
somebody's got money.
Verified.
They got $8. They got $8.
$8 a month. But no, I just thought it was funny because like everybody was growling about it, and I'm like, but it gets me more views and more of a reach, so why not? But anyways, Twitter, OnlyFans. I'm gonna be on Spotify, so I'm gonna be picking his brain at some point for that, so we can get this podcast posted. But just search for Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. You'll find me. I'm in all of the dark corners of the web. But outside of that, I podcast. I make movies. I'm working on a trailer right now for my run for Miss Blobfest 2023. So if you don't have anything to do the weekend of July 14th, make sure you get your ass up to Phoenixville. Because I'm coming home with that crown, even if I got to walk up on stage and rip it off of the winner's head. I don't care. It's coming home.
So you're pulling a Kanye West.
Year. What's that?
You got to pull an old school Kanye West.
Blobfest or bust is mine. Because I was robbed last year. Like, I was the only one who put thought and effort in my 2022 video. Everybody else just sit in front of a camera and talk. Like, bitch, I do that for podcasting. Come on, put some effort in there. And then some of them were quoting blob facts, and I'm just sitting there like, dick about the blob. But anyway, that's me. I love horror, sci-fi, gaming. That'd be the video type, or also pen or pencil. I'm more White Wolf than I am D&D. And speaking of D&D, you've got something to talk about regarding D&D.
Yeah, if you want to talk about Last of Us first, it's up to you. You're the hostess with the mostest right now. So.
Yeah, but D&D is kind of your area. I used to dabble in it back when I was in high school, but it was mostly an excuse to eat badly and smoke pot.
Oh, it's still an excuse to eat badly and smoke pot in some cases. But over the past month and change, D&D and Wizards of the Coast, or as I'd rather use either Wizards or Wizards of the Coast. I refuse to.
Which is owned by Hasbro.
Which is, let me just say this: Wizards, not Wizards, Hasbro, which you could probably verify or not, has a tendency to go, oh look, there's an weapon, there's an item that's able to launch weapon items at very high velocity. I wonder what the. Let's point this at my foot and pull the little lever and see what that does. Ow, my foot. Immediately drops that particular item. And they look and like, oh, I wonder what this item that tosses projectiles at high speeds do. Promptly picks it up. Oh, I wonder what it does. So I point it at my foot and pull this little lever. Ow, my foot. They keep doing that rotating cycle of shooting themselves in the foot and not learning anything about it.
I know Hasbro from other areas.
Right.
And, my running gag with all the properties that they own now, till all are fun.
and And the thing is, they, from what I've been gathering, Hasbro has the aspect of they have all these properties like Transformers, He-Man, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
They're not He-Man. He-Man's still Mattel.
Mattel.
Well,
at least-
technically Mattel, it's
no.
owned by Universal. Mattel actually has to license it from Universal now, which is freaking weird because they created it. It's a whole mess. But anyway,
but with what Hasbro has been doing is shooting themselves in the foot, making these bad products. Like from what I heard, they tried to relaunch a couple of Gen 1 Transformer line, and when they got the stuff, folks have gotten the product in. It's nothing like what's either on the photo or what they were expecting. And it was just like they got a Wish.com version of that item, and it was an official Hasbro product. And
why I only get Studio Series and Masterpiece.
But and it depends on the collector you're talking to. Some of them says that's happened to the Studio and the Masterpiece stuff too.
Don't because I want my Blitzwing, and he has to be perfect, boy.
So, but as Sasha stated, Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, and what a lot of YouTubers, TikTokers, and those in the community, they don't call it Wizards of the Coast, they call it WotC. Is taking all the initials together. But I'd rather say Wizards because some people say WotC, and they add the inflection that it rhymes with the other infamous N-word.
Oh.
So what Wizards has done, Wizards not only owns D&D, they own Magic the Gathering. And
did you see some of the weird cards they did recently?
Yeah,
like Transformers based. I had to groan.
And because they're trying, what's been happening is, as you know, a little more than going on 3 years ago, we had a pandemic, and everybody was stuck. Yes,
well, I've just forever been referring to it as the incident, and for to not to get demonetized in
right
places. Backstreet Boys show.
Yeah, the incident about 3 years ago, and people
I hate to say it, people were still getting it. I was out of work for 2 weeks because of COVID.
Let me put it like this: people went to Otakon last year, where you had to show papers, and meaning you had to be vaccinated, you had to show a negative thing, and people still got COVID after the show. I mean, they got it. In essence, they got it at the show. So
that's how it was at Blobfest in 2022. You actually had to show paperwork in each and every event that you were clean. Papers, please.
But Wizards of the Coast, because of everybody being inside, Hasbro got a crap ton of money because everybody was stuck inside with the quarantine and that whole jazz. So everybody was buying board games. They were buying Magic the Gathering stuff. It's also why Pokemon probably got big over the past 2 years, 3 years. Everybody was stuck inside. So what they were doing, they were playing Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons.
GameCube games went up to crazy prices too.
And what Wizards did is they started, instead of 2 or 3 times a year, or at max 4 times a year, releasing a set of Magic the Gathering cards, they upped it to closer to almost every other month, if not more. And so they were flooding the market with all these cards. The mom and pop gaming shops could not keep up. They couldn't. And Wizards is one of those companies that if you don't try to keep up, you're no longer a official reseller. You can't sell their product. I think they're one of the folks. If you're listening to this, please, if I'm wrong, please let me know. And not to mention last year, they put out a 30th edition of Magic the Gathering cards. 3 packs. $1,000. And you could not play, according to those that are really deep into that particular hobby, you couldn't play those cards even in home games. They were not official cards. You couldn't. And so people were like, so we paid $1,000 for cards we can't use. And the cards were randomized. If I want a complete collection of these cards, I have to spend like $4,000 or $5,000. And I won't know if I got the full collection.
Exactly. Because you got to open it.
Right. And it was like that. So people are backing away from release Magic the Gathering. They're sticking to what they got because the market's so flooded. They're devaluing their own cards. Then it's all because of the new CEO that they have in. They got a new CEO from Microsoft, and she wanted to it's not so much Microsoft, but it's the aspect of she's coming from the video gaming community, and she has the aspect of we have to monetize every little thing. And we think that Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons is under monetizing their stuff. So we need to monetize every nickel. In essence, we got to nickel and dime the fan base. And the other managers and CEOs and the other upper management have no idea of these markets. They're nowhere affiliated with these markets. They just want to bring in the money, and therefore they're ruining everything. They're just like, let's ruin everything. So what happened in regards to D&D, due to popularity with Stranger Things, the so-called incident a few years ago, they decided, okay, they noticed a couple of things. One of which is Wizards of the Coast is mostly, I'll pick this up because it's an independent creator. I don't think she'll mind the publicity. They're more, or actually him. They're like this book here. They're complete physical copies. That's all Wizards is. They know nothing about like ebooks or the PDFs and the digital market like independent creators might be. So last year they bought the website D&D Beyond to help do PDFs and the digital marketing for their product, which a lot of fans, including myself, said, that's a good idea. We understand that, but we got to keep a close eye on things because this could be bad news. Sure as shit. About 1 year later, start of January, they said, or end of last year, they said, we're going to, come 2024, we're going to give you all, in essence, a new edition of D&D. It's going to be called One D&D. It's going to be backwards compatible with 5th edition, and you're able to do everything you currently do, so forth and so on. So Q start of January. Their new open gaming license got released. Now, for the folks at home, this is what I love about my show. I explain things for those who don't know shit. There's two aspects. There is a OGL and there is the Gaming Resource Guide, I think it's called. The Gaming Resource Guide is just pretty much a summary of everything that an independent, meaning Sasha, if you wanted to create content for D&D as an independent creator, it's stuff you can use, free for you to use, that D&D puts out, Wizards of the Coast puts out, that you have access to, that you're allowed to do. But nothing that is strictly trademarked or copyrighted by them. But if you do use anything in that resource guide, you have to include the open gaming license. That's what it's there for. It's just saying you got some of that resource stuff. You're using 5e as a base. Everything's set and good. But this new OGL at the start of this year, 2023, came out. It was shipped to a lot of independent creators. I'm talking Critical Role, folks that were multi-millionaires in the market and popular folks in the market.
Right.
And in this 1.1 OGL 1.1, it said, okay, first up, you can't create TV shows, you can't create NFTs, you can't and it had a few other things in regards to what you can't do. Mainly, it like when they explained the NFTs, it's like, oh, it's to help uh, uh, keep away all the scammers and the folks that are going to just take your money. What a lot of folks looked into is like, well, one, it makes it seem like that you're preventing independent creators from doing that, while you yourself is going to be doing that. Because Critical Role has their own TV show on Amazon. You're in essence stopping them from creating their own TV show. Meanwhile, here you are trying to reboot the cartoon and making a movie coming out in March. Then that OGL went to say that if your content is phobic in any way, racist in any way, is non-exclusive in any way, or problematic in any way, we have the right to revoke your OGL.
Yeah, basically your license.
And without any explanation. Then it went
Didn't
on.
they always have that right?
The thing is, it wasn't in previous OGL, but a lot of folks the community police themselves. It was overly racist. Everybody could stay away from them. There were a lot of folks that were, I think, in the community like yourself, saying, "Hey, these folks are, blatantly racist, or they're blatantly phobic in some way. Keep away from them." But the OGL is like, "No, you guys submit everything to us. We'll determine if it's problematic or not. If it ain't, we will revoke your license." Then it went on to say that if you make over $700, if you make between $50,000 to $750,000 a year net or more, you have to pay us royalties.
Right.
Which may at least in my eyes, if you make $750,000, starting at $750,000, you start paying us royalties. That means, to me, in my eyes, so if I'm making $750,000 a year, I have to start paying you money. My profit margins are slim and none, and I have to pay taxes, fees, pay other folks, pay editors, and so forth. I have to pay all you guys, and then now pay you guys, and it's like, yes. Then it went on to say that we here at Wizards of the Coast acknowledge that you own all the rights to your content, meaning copyright and everything else to that content. But if we reserve any right to republish that content, not pay you a dime, not give you credit. Then underneath that, let me continue. We'll go back to that. Let's put a pin in that one little section. Then it went later on in that new OGL saying, you can't sue us in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So a lot of creators went, all right, so you tried to hit us with a 1, 2, 3 combo. You could find something remotely problematic. Remotely, not tell us what it is, revoke our license, take our content, republish it under your name, not give us credit, not give us a dime, and there's nothing we can do about it and retaliate.
Well, here's the thing, because keep in mind, like, it's been a while since I've touched the game. And granted, like, back in the day, I mean, it was still just done by Gygax. It wasn't owned by anybody. Like, after his death,
right,
things kind of went to shit. We're not going to disagree on that 100%. I almost guarantee.
Right. I don't know that anyway, but there's been instances where Wizards dropped the ball with the the TRS or TSR aspect of things, and Gygax's estate and his kids scooped up the trademark again, tried to reprint or redo do some new content, and Wizards got all up in arms about it. That's where the whole racist and discriminatory stuff, because they said, "Oh, this new TSR content is all full of racist stuff. We don't like that." So that's where it came up. But the focus on what the new OGL stated was, like, Sasha, if you created new content featuring, let's say that you've told me you have that, in essence, that movie script.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not correct, the main character is transgender.
Well, it's me, but
Yeah,
not me. It's kind of
it's based on you. The person is transgender, right?
Right. But that's not the driving point of the script.
Right. If you made that into a D&D module under this particular OGL that was leaked at the time, Wizards could look at that, say, "Sasha, we find your main character problematic, despite the fact it's a very popular module. You made over $1 million through Kickstarter on this, or Indiegogo. You have everything ready to go and ship out to all your customers. We're sorry, you can't release this because it's problematic. You have to shred everything." Then 6 months later, they publish it because they love the content. So in essence, they stole your work, not giving you credit. You're not making a dime off of it, and you can't sue them, even though it's copywritten, because you signed that OGL saying you give up all rights to that, and they can print everything for it, word for word.
Right.
That's what fans were thinking of. A lot of fans were thinking of, and they held a lot of the larger creators, everyone from the very little guy that just makes homebrew and goes to the local printing company to print stuff. It's what I put out in my one episode. Go to the local, print your own homebrew.
Yeah.
Avoid that OGL. Use what you want. Go to a local printing spot, not Office Max, not Staples or anything like that.
The mom and pop.
Have them print up and bind like a whole stack of your own modules. Say it's 5e compatible. Go to a flea market. Go to a local 4-state equivalent.
Yeah.
And sell it yourself and make your own money. You bypass it. Pirate. In essence, you're being a pirate.
Yo ho ho.
Yo ho ho.
Ski mask on.
But during this aspect, when fans were up in arms and creators were up in arms about the leak, D&D was like, it's a draft. It's not a valid thing. And other creators would come out and was like, if it was a draft and not a valid OGL, then why'd you send out NDAs for this and the OGL as a contract for us to sign by a certain date?
I apologize for the audio issue.
No,
I have
okay.
people I live with, so
joy. So in essence, at that moment, Wizards of the Coast was pulling what Netflix is doing now with password sharing. We were just kidding about that because of the fan backlash. So they put out a OGL 1.2, which still had. They took out, not to mention with the OGL 1.1, they're like, the whole aspect of we could take you content and print it on or all stuff and not give you credit. Yeah, it was a draft. We don't know how that got into it. It's like every creator was like, didn't you run this by your lawyers first? It's like, wouldn't you have done this prior to sending it out? And they tried to walk things back. Then 1.2 came out, which didn't have that, we can steal your content and all this, but it had a bunch of other sneaky stuff in it. And they're like, no, we don't want this shit either.
But here's the thing, and maybe it's just my old school way of looking at things and considering things. if you have all the old manuals and all the old character sheets and all the old everything else, and you're just hanging out with your buddies and you're having a good night running a campaign, I don't really think this is going to impact you.
It for folks like you and me just on a homebrew in your
Yeah, just people having fun.
Having fun, it doesn't affect them. But a lot
It's
of
not
folks,
like Hasbro's going to show up while you're playing Monopoly and go, "You're playing it wrong. We're taking your board. Here's a fine." You know.
but a lot of folks that are putting everything together and want to share it with the greater community and just like put it on Patreon or share it online.
And maybe it's because I've played in other people's sandboxes, and that's maybe a conversation for another time. Watch me recently on the Ridiculous podcast to kind of touch on that. But when you play in other sandboxes, you run into all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Like me anymore, if it's not my own world or something I'm doing in the privacy of my own home, I want nothing to do with it. I don't care what kind of money is involved, because there's nothing worse in the world than a non-disclosure agreement, and you really want to converse with your friends to figure out this plot point, but you really can't because of that NDE.
And the thing is, it's wasn't that what a lot of creators were thinking is like, if I shared something with you or you shared something with me that is D&D created, they were fearing that even if it wasn't like a homebrew sharing on through Facebook or a Facebook group, and WotC, sorry, I said it, Wizards got wind of it, sending out and, getting their hands on it, like, hey, this, you need an OGL, you need this. Here's a cease and desist. That's what they were afraid of, because we're, as I've stated before, in a lot of things, we're a 24/7 culture now. We have social media. It's easy to collaborate with other folks to make things better.
There's tons of fanfics that are out there. Nobody makes a dime on it. It's just people having fun. People who really want to see Spock and Kirk kiss.
Yeah, that's the thing. But let's say you are one of those type of creators that want to make Mario and Luigi kiss, for example. Nintendo
fanfic.
It's fanfic.
As long as you don't collect penny one on it, Nintendo really can't say boo about it, because parody law covers your ass.
Nintendo doesn't give a rat's ass.
Oh, I know. There's ways.
They'll cease and desist you no matter what.
But there's ways around it. And a cease and desist is like, stop it. But the moment you start making money, it's going to be more serious than a C&D.
That I can understand. But Nintendo has. We could have a whole show about how scummy Nintendo can be.
All right.
But
the problem with Nintendo, in a nutshell, is there's been fans that have made games that people have wanted. And now that they're like, wait, there's actually an interest here. They don't want to pay these people for their work. They do their own thing. Look at not another Metroid 2 remake.
They could be giving it out. They could give it out for free, and Nintendo's like, "Oh, we gotta stop this right now."
But the thing of it is if they're, as long as they're not collecting penny one, as long as they're not trying to kickstart anything or make a dime, that you can still get that online. I hate to say it's still out there.
I'm sure there's folks putting it on the Bay of Pirates, so to speak.
Well, I can find like mirrors and download it right now. It's
right.
And then you have people like Capcom. I love Capcom. Don't get me wrong. Capcom is great. Like, people have taken the whole Mario Maker concept and applied it to Mega Man. And Capcom's like, have at. Do you guys want a job?
Yeah, there's some instances like that. But Nintendo is
Nintendo.
Nintendo is Nintendo.
We'll see how happy they are after Chris Pratt Mario.
Right. Let's see how they are and how the fans take everything. But
hey, we still have Super Hornio Brothers, so we're
right. I'm mildly curious, and I don't want to know at the same time.
You're mildly curious, but hesitant to say.
They say it right.
It's better than 10-inch mutant turtles.
Right.
Way better. Less salmonella, too.
Right. But so far, D&D, Wizards of the Coast has backtracked. They're like, okay, we'll put everything in Creative Commons. We'll leave the original OGLs in place. But a lot of folks in the community has said the damage is done, but a lot of folks have said we've on both sides said we've won, and I'm one of the
Not
few.
really.
I'm like, no,
This is just a battle.
You won, yeah, you won the battle. We won this time. There's always next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, were they going to try this shit again? No, we haven't won. You have to remain vigilant.
It's like, for example, because like when I was in high school, it was early '90s to about mid '90s. What was popular at the time was White Wolf. I love the first gen of World of Darkness because all you need is 20 side dies, 10 each. That's it. You build your character, and it's a very easy system to use. Now, White Wolf has completely remodded it and made it confusing as hell. But White Wolf ain't beating down my door if I want to run a first or third generation version while they're on generation 10, which fucking sucks.
So, but
You
one of the
played
things
White Wolf, right?
No, I haven't.
You've never played Vampire the Masquerade,
No.
Werewolf?
I didn't get into that. I didn't get into D&D until like early 2021.
Because
early 2020, like late 2020, early 2021 is when I started playing D&D. So prior to that, I think I might have told you this. If not, if I had any type of interest in the mid to late 90s for Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Magic the Gathering, or even D&D, my folks would have shot that shit down damn fucking fast.
Right.
Not because it was satanic, it was because, well, you ain't playing that fucking shit.
Yeah, it was the same way with White Wolf games, except White Wolf, I don't know if you remember, I want to say late 80s, all those weird quote unquote vampire murders, they were blamed on basically White Wolf and Vampire the Masquerade.
So it
So
was just weird. And to me, it was like,
but we got mazes and monsters out of that satanic panic. Come on. Tom Hanks is a crazy guy addicted to D&D and gets lost in New York City and kills somebody. It's a good movie. Watch it.
But the thing is, one of the things that right now, because of everything, Pathfinder is making, the folks that put out Pathfinder are making bank because everybody's gravitating. A lot of folks right now also saying right now, because of what D&D did, pushing away the fans. And some have stated that D&D trying to not only get rid of competition, not just with the tabletop RPG stuff, but the virtual tabletop stuff too, because they wanted to create their own virtual tabletop. Get rid of like stuff like Roll20 and Foundry, the other big websites that do virtual tabletop, because Wizards wanted to be the only one.
Right.
We should be the only one. And so because of this, these other sites and other places are now getting bigger. Pathfinder's getting bigger. They're pushing folks that, like you, maybe like me, and other folks that are getting into it to other, like Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder, White Wolf. They're getting into all these other tabletop stuff. So some have said we're entering in a new golden age.
Right.
Which is a wonderful thing. As someone like us that are into indie creators, that is a wonderful thing.
Right.
That is a wonderful thing. Because it took something like this to say, hey, we got to protect our own shit.
Dear God, tell me that Hasbro doesn't own White Wolf. Oh, fuck, that'd be horrible. That would explain why the latest games suck. Oh, I have to look that up later.
Hopefully they don't.
I hope not. I hope it's just really shitty management.
So, but still, it allows the third-party people to create something more neutral. When everything came out, because I have one Kickstarter that I'm waiting on that is 5e based, that I'm loving. I can't wait to get my hands on. It's a 3-volume set. It has I think it has the old 3.5 version an updated 5e version and an added module for the 5e version. A 3-volume set. I'm like, oh, I want this set. Now you're gonna fuck shit over, but still, it's something that. Let me put it like this: if my mom was alive right now, and I told her, like, yeah, my D&D group that I'm part of, we're meeting on a weekly basis, we're having a good time. It's nothing but laughs, and she'd have a fucking conniption, a fucking conniption.
Okay, they're not owned by Hasbro. Thank fucking
So,
God. But there's a place known as Paradox Interactive, which made a lot of their online games. Oh, okay.
so
Yeah, because I see what had happened. There was a big disagreement over the Brujah vampire clan, which was kind of depicted as neo-Nazis, and Paradox was kind of against that. And it's like, well, they're not depicted as neo-Nazis. They're just very violent, aggressive vampires.
yeah, like I said, right now, Pathfinder went to Humble Bundle. Are you familiar with Humble Bundle?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
For those of you who are listening to this
Is
or
GURPS
watching this,
still a thing?
what?
GURPS.
I don't know. Humble Bundle, for those who don't know, is like a charity site, and a lot of creators put like a shit ton of stuff on there for charity. And Humble Bundles will sell a bunch of stuff for like $25-$30. I'm thinking I'm picking up the Pathfinder stuff for like $25.
So
So
here's a big question for you, since you're now into D&D more than I am. Is Drizzt still a thing?
I don't know. I'm just surface level right now.
Why isn't Drizzt in this new movie?
I don't know.
Why? It makes no sense. Yes, the movie looks cool, but I still remember that early 2000s D&D, and it was not that good.
So, let me put it like this: me being part of D&D right now is piquing my interest in a little bit into 3D printing.
Okay.
So, hopefully one of these days, either through gift or saving enough to get one, a small like a resin 3D printer. If not, I'm going to have to bug a mutual friend of ours,
George.
good old George.
We can get my buddy Robert involved, who's also a friend of George. We got him in a 3D printer.
So, and I've told George in regards to it. George, folks, George is a great guy, nice guy. And it's like, George, it's like, I know you probably will do it George will probably do it for free, but it's like, dude, if you want me to toss a couple of bucks your way for supplies, I'll toss a couple of bucks your way.
Check in with him every now and again too, because he's been kind of off lately.
So
but we all have.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like, George, I'll toss a couple of bucks. Let me pay for supplies, something.
George ain't gonna do that.
But the offer has to be made.
Yes.
It's like, if anything, it's not going to be too anything big. It's like, George, can you do if you get a chance? Let me pay for fucking shipping, something.
With Robert the one day, I was like, I really hate the way this proton pack hooks up, and he printed me out the parts to fix it. So I'm like, dude, I didn't ask for that. What do I owe you? Nothing. It's a pain in the ass. I agree.
So what I've been doing, I've been collecting a bunch of STLs, and I've been following at least one person on Patreon that does a whole bunch of like minis, gives out for their Patreon like STL, different stuff and
stuff you can print.
Yeah, stuff you can print. One is they did a parody of like Scooby and the Gang. It wasn't called Scooby and the Gang. It was like a parody of.
Just as long as it ain't Velma and the Gang, we're good.
It was a parody of that. It was like the Not So Mystery Gang or whatever it was. A cat, Tiamat as a cat, as a cat and stuff like that.
Yeah,
fun stuff that you could print out and use, and plus some of the mainstream stuff that he does and his versions of it. And like, okay, I'll just snag all this interesting stuff and I'll have it on my file. I'll upload a couple of stuff to my Google Drive. Not to mention, I've gotten a few Dice Towers off of various either Kickstarters or purchased myself, and I upload. It's like, hey, who wants to, one of the D&D groups on Facebook's like, does anybody have the STL for this file? Yeah, let me tag in my Google Drive. Feel free to just take what you want, and it's a whole mess of like D&D stuff and tokens, and it's pretty much the Uncle Tony of
yeah.
Again, the
as my buddy Kim K would say, sometimes you gotta throw up the ski mask.
Yeah, it's the going back to me kind of promoting my whole aspect. It's like, yeah, we have an Uncle Tony. We don't. Where some people have an Uncle Joe, I have an Uncle Tony. Everything gets set off like a back of a digital truck or something like that, and I have it for you.
See, I've already been talking about like my March stuff I want to work on, because obviously everybody's been like, Sash, you did Leprechaun in the Hood. It's been a year or two now since you've done a Leprechaun movie. Are we getting Leprechaun back to the Hood? And I'm like, let me see who I can pester. I've already burnt that bridge with Ken K, because he's like, I hate you for making me watch that movie. So you're gonna have to do podcasts for me. And he's like, I'm gonna make you review House of the Dead. I said, over my dead body. I'll review the second one, which I did, but I won't touch that first movie. That first movie's rough. Don't get me wrong, I love Uwe Boll. If everybody hates Uwe, but if you watch some of his documentary and his stuff that's not based on video games, actually knows how to make a decent movie. He was just taking advantage of German tax law for everything else.
Rage, I think he did Rage.
Yes.
The Rage series. I enjoyed that series.
Yes, that series is real good. Same way with Seed. It was not based on a video game. Granted, he got into all kind of troubles from the SPCA, but who cares? Everybody gets into trouble from SPCA. Even Mario got into trouble with the SPCA because of his Tanuki suit. He's a fictional character. Come on.
You mean PETA?
PETA. What SPCA?
PETA is like having PETA try to come after you is like a badge of honor for most people.
Pretty much. Oh, you hate me. Awesome.
Oh, awesome. Every time, sadly, the local diner by me has been shut down. New owners. The old owner passed away, sadly.
It's not the blue and white, is it?
Yes, it's the blue and white.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The original owner passed away. His wife inherited it. She got sick, passed away.
Jeez.
Another relative owns it and doesn't give a shit. And the place is in repair, and they don't want to repair it. So for the past month, it's been closed down by the health department for repairs needed, and it hasn't been repaired yet. And one of the things I loved at the time is like when I seen something on the news about PETA doing this, like, oh, I know what I'm ordering at the Blue White this week is my anti-PETA special, which is the what they have is like a cheesesteak omelet, and I'll order bacon with it. I'll have butter on the freaking toast, the English muffin. It's like, you know what? Give me one of the shakes too. We're going all out to piss off PETA today. We're going to have the stuff from the chicken, stuff from the cow, stuff from the pig. So let's bring it on. Let's bring it on. So
right. I'm sorry. We're going to have to, like, one of these weekends, I'll have to get Al up early. We'll come kidnap you at like 5 a.m. and drag you up the phase.
Sunday, for right now, Sundays work best for me.
Well, that's usually when we get up and do phase, is our Sunday morning ritual.
Sundays are usually the best for me because that's usually I could wing it and skip one thing on my hangouts on Monday and do laundry on Monday after I do shopping, but
they have this French toast special, sublime. They've got the best home fries ever, hands down.
There's another diner up by me, but they're a little bit on the pricey side. Me being a Blue White loyalist since 2000, I want to say 2012, because that's when I first got my job at FedEx, or got off of unemployment and got my job at FedEx, and I volunteered for the Halloween that year because I just wanted to.
I'm not judging you,
but that year it's why I didn't.
I love how Don pretends he doesn't know me. Oh, I know Don.
But
not in that biblical sense. Don't get too excited, because I have standards, believe it or not.
that's why I don't like the person that's running it.
Mm.
I had my qualms with what happened with Don a few years between you, me, and Don a few years ago, and the Halloween. And it was
I wasn't
her
trying
that
to drag you into that. You
right,
got
right.
drug in.
I got drug in and I got tossed under the bus. Not by you, not by Don, by freaking her.
Oh, I know her.
But I didn't like how. Um, it's one of the things I tried to tell Don when he tried to do everything that year is because I was like, yeah, I volunteered for her a few years ago, and a lot of the promise because what would happen is like if you volunteered 3 days in a row or 3 times, you were able to get a T-shirt or pay like $15 for the T-shirt. I walked up with $15 in essence in my a money order, $15 money order, which is good as cash. Now I'll keep it. You volunteered here 3 days, you get your shirt. Never got the shirt. I volunteered three days setup plus 1 day for the actual product thing at the actual when everything was going on. And when I emailed her in regards to the Apple not Apple
Blossom?
Blossom not Blossom it was the
Butter?
Apple
Harvest. Okay.
Apple Harvest Parade. And like, no, we don't need zombies. We need this, that, and other. I'm like, you know what? In essence, she just told me to go screw myself. So I'm a volunteer. I don't have to show up anymore. I was
Yep.
going to show up again for another one because the reason why I didn't show up the next week because my voice was sore. Sore for it because I was doing a bunch of growling and snarling. So it's like, no, I'm not going to volunteer ever again. But the days that I did volunteer, when it was time for lunch, I'd walk up to the Blue White for lunch, and that's when I started to become a regular because I loved the food. One of the things I got me hooked there was not just the breakfast; it was what they had at the time, the Big Bopper Burger, which was a handmade double cheeseburger, and it was freaking huge. So, and I was like, I got to keep coming back here. I like the food, and I did ever since when I had the funds. So
No, like Blue and White is great. I've been there a couple of times. I hope they can find whatever footing it is they need. But
yeah, it's not just the new owners that's screwing things over. It's right now they're also having a tough time finding other people that want to work in that industry. And it's the whole aspect of folks nowadays don't want to work in the wait staff industry for whatever damn reason.
the wait
So
staff industry sucks. So I can kind of understand it. I mean, my philosophy of it is, pay people a living wage and they might actually work for you. But if you're not
right,
going to pay somebody a living wage, you can't expect the world of them,
right.
you know? And a lot of people don't seem to understand that concept. And I kind of feel bad because some people should. I mean, hell, as I always jokingly say, I'm a maintenance and sanitation engineer or a janitor if you want to be a dick about it. But at least where I work, I get decent benefits. Like I rarely, if ever, pay a copay unless I'm late for an appointment or have to suddenly cancel an appointment.
See that's the thing. It's like right now, yeah, am I getting shit pay for what I do? Yeah, extremely shit pay. But in the places that are within strolling distance for me, for the past 6 months, if not longer, it's the pay them at the employer that I'm at got me off on unemployment. I'm not knocking them; they're good people, but I've tried to apply to the local schools that are in dire. They keep saying we're in dire need of like janitors, but I don't have experience. Give me the lowest pay possible. It's not that hard to push a damn broom.
No, it's not. And with some of the people I work with, you think it was, but it's not.
It's
And
like give me a damn chance. I'm willing to take the 24K a year
right.
on the low end. Give me that. I want the 24K a year. I don't care.
Well, if you were up this way, I'd make sure you got hired in a heartbeat, and we'd have you trained in 5 seconds flat. It's not hard. It's sometimes the days are shitty. Like we had this event involving wrestling from 30 different schools, and it included all kinds of different ages and everything. Yeah, being visibly trans in a high school, dealing with middle schoolers, elementary schoolers, and high schoolers kind of sucks. And when you're dealing with 30 different schools, yeah, it was a hell of a day. Like my boss was asking me if I'd work some overtime some weekend, and I'm like, I'm gonna get treated the way I was treated the other day. No, you know, I was like, it has nothing to do with the company itself. I said it has everything to do with how those who are around me treat me.
For me, walking distance is anywhere from, depending on the school, anywhere between 10 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Walking, walking. And they don't want to hire. Like when I saw them at a show, it's like, yeah, we're hiring. We're in dire need. Yeah, I have 3 applications. You haven't told me crap.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Yeah. And one saying, "Oh, you don't have enough experience. What? Pushing a broom? Whatever. I don't know. I'll watch YouTube."
Yeah,
Like,
and OJT is a thing, on the job training.
right. But they don't want to do that. They want you. They want somebody like 5 years of experience and still pay them like no experience pay,
Yeah, but you've
or they don't want to hire.
you've worked other jobs probably where you've pushed broom. It just depends on how you pad your resume.
Yeah, when I worked for the Wally World, good many years ago, as a pusher of the carts at the store I was at. I was the janitor. I was the stock person. I was
Yeah,
the
you're
pusher of
everything.
cart. I was everything. Oh, you need some. Oh, we don't have anybody to hang signs. Chris, guess what you're doing today? Oh, by the
Exactly.
way, you got to bring in carts while you're doing that, and we're going to yell at you for not doing either one because we're yelling at you because you had to do the other. So,
Yeah, it is what it is. It sucks, and that's life. So, yeah, just
uh,
basically some odd changes here in D&D.
yeah.
Where'd you want to go next on the conversation?
So let's change things up. And since I had my turn right now, or at least I had the last 2 turns, it's time for you. I think you want to talk about something called Last of Us.
All right. Well, when it comes to The Last of Us, people have to understand I'm a gamer. I love games. I also love film and
Yeah, you're one
television.
of those PS Sony fan girls, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was only exclusive to the PlayStation 4 and then went to PC later on. But yeah, I loved both of the games. And I'm very curious what they're going to do with Chapter 2. Hopefully, they don't try to encompass everything in the first season, like from the first game, because they're going to run out of material real quick if they do. But, I think when it comes to the TV show, they're doing an excellent job. I do have my quibbles, where they have made some departures. But to me,
What's your quibbles?
okay. Well, my favorite song of all time, and yes, it's me and my partner's song, which of course is Future Days. With the TV show, it's not going to make an appearance because the time frame from when the mushroom, I'm trying to remember what's called, cordyceps, from when the cordyceps pandemic hits is completely different between the game and the show. Because in the game, the cordyceps hit like around 2012, 2013. The song Future Days came out right kind of on the cusp. And so it's going to make chapter 2 really, really hard for Joel to be showing Ellie how to play that song because with the continuity of the show, I want to say like the outbreak happens in the early 2000s prior to 2010. So basically, yeah, that song hasn't came into existence yet. That's my only quibble. That's my only problem.
Let me just say this, folks at home. We're recording. We only, I think, me and Sasha only saw the first 3 episodes. The 4th episode is Streaming live now as of us recording this. So, um, our information right now is kind of limited in a way. So, I'm looking at it on Hulu right now. I'm not watching the episode. I see it posted up and that it's live and streaming. It says live on multiple networks.
Yep.
So,
And it's on HBO Max.
so
I'll probably watch it after we're done doing our
but
talk here. There's been a lot of controversy over it because there's tons of people who's like, granted, yes, there have been little changes and little changes that have made like thematic sense. In the second episode, when
since I haven't played, I know there were lots of drama when I think the remake or the second one came out. Fans didn't like it since I never really played
the
either game.
problem with
But
the second game is that spoilers, but not spoilers, they kill off a major character.
right,
Pretty
and
much.
I mean, it was like everything that not just that it was
Now,
everything leading up to that.
don't get me wrong. Thematically speaking, it's necessary, and that character does show up in flashbacks throughout the game. But the other biggest quibble is Abby, and a lot of people felt it was kind of tone deaf because you get to play as Ellie for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you get to go into Abby's perspective. And honestly, I think the problem wasn't so much that Abby showed up. It's just that Neil Druckmann didn't know when to introduce Abby. Now, if they were smart, and granted they didn't have a second game planned after the first game, they should have introduced Abby within the first game. And then when you start the second game, you're playing primarily as her, so you can understand her point of view from the ending of the first game. Again, avoiding spoilers, because most people don't game. Well, at least a good chunk of the population doesn't. But having experienced Abby's point of view before you jump into Ellie's shoes and see why things went down the way they went down, you would have been able to relate more to Abby. And the other thing is in the game that later on, it's not introduced straight away. There's a trans character, so that created a lot of controversy in the second game as well. And honestly, based on the story and based on the new cult gang religious sect that people run across, it made sense because it kind of showed you a converse of people that came from that group that don't fall into that group anymore because of the way that they view the world versus how they are. A lot of people got kind of, you guys are forcing, visibility and acceptance on us. And it's like, it's not really forced because doesn't matter how this character identifies, Abby's helping them out, irregardless. It's not tentative to the plot. But that was a lot of the quibbles. The new character, Abby, killing off a major character, and then, of course, the introduction of a trans character. And a lot of it, the complaints are tone deaf. It's just the fact that people don't like change, and they don't like visibility, and they don't like acceptance. But the thing of it is the way the game presents all of that, it's not beaten into your head. Now, I will agree, Abby wasn't introduced properly. We should have got some sort of primer to Abby before like the beginning of the second game, like something at the end. And hopefully that's something that the TV show does. But again, we won't know until we get there. But everything else, it's just people being whiny little bitches. Me, I'm quibbling about the time frame because my favorite song's not going to be there. But I don't know. Maybe they'll fudge it and say Joel made it up, which would still be kind of cool, but it'd be kind of selling short the band that performs said song.
Uh, the I enjoyed since I didn't play the games. I am, as you probably know, I'm mostly a Xbox fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Well,
bigger controllers,
hey,
so sue me.
when we get there, once we're done talking about this, we need to talk about Dead Space in the Xbox. And I'm
Okay.
talking the new one because I'm confused about something and I think you can help me with it.
Okay.
But anyway,
Because somebody prefers smaller controllers over the big ones. It's too uncomfortable in her hands.
but think of it this
But
way, Chris. Remember the Duke controller with the original Xbox?
yeah,
I still think that was the most comfortable controller. I think, honestly, when we got the little tiny S, it was nice, it was cute, but it wasn't as good as the Duke.
you could buy Duke controllers, you know.
Oh, yeah, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Because they got that weird little like screen in where like the little plastic bubble used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
Yes, if you didn't know, it's an LCD screen there, and I'm just like, it's a bit excessive, you know. But anyways, you were
Yes,
saying
but anyway, but still, I'll show you. I got a brand new PS4 controller. It's not that much bigger.
it's nice. You should have
It's
got
not that much bigger. They're
no, it's
about the
not.
same size.
But there's something about the DualShock. I mean, let's just be honest.
But
I mean, come on. Do you remember the original PlayStation controller without the analog sticks?
yeah,
It just had the
I've
little
got used
cross
to it.
pad and all the buttons. Yeah,
But
it was the perfect
the
Resident Evil controller.
don't bring up Resident Evil. I didn't. I rented the game. I didn't like it that much. I'm
Which
not
one?
saying it wasn't a bad game. It's just that having to
Seven or
hold,
eight?
having to pretty much hold all these controller buttons just to aim your gun.
It sounds like 7 or 8.
So,
Was it
but
7 or 8?
it might have been 7.
Okay.
The
Now, if it was 5, I would totally accept 5 as a complaint because Chris punches a boulder and makes it move by punching it. And 6, well, we just don't talk about 6 anymore.
But back to Last of Us. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I know nothing of the game, so this is the first time being introduced to that universe. I enjoyed Pablo Pascal's, doing what he did and the introduction and the new type of zombies that, in essence, we are introduced to.
But are
I'm
they
sure you're not.
really new? I mean, Matango kind of did it first.
New to me.
Okay. You've never seen the Toho movie from the 60s known as Matango with killer mushroom people?
No, I don't think so. No.
You need to check it out.
Okay. So it's new to me. But the only episode that I felt uncomfortable with, I think you know the episode, which was 3, the third episode. It wasn't so much, let me just say, it wasn't so much the two characters being gay. It was the implied sex scenes.
Okay.
Me being straight, me being cis, I was not comfortable with that.
Being of the community, it was a bit forced. It could have been something glazed over.
So, but hear me out. I don't take me at my word. One of the things I've been hearing through some of the people that swing more so on the conservative side, that tend to like to stomp and cry and yell about certain things, even though they were forced to admit that they've been enjoying Last of Us, which is for you is like, you're enjoying this too, aren't you? But they were also uncomfortable with it and what they dug around to find out. I guess they got to talk about somehow. They said they found an article, I think, put out by someplace out in California, saying the person that is the front runner or one of the writers behind the episode did it just to troll. He added those aspects just to be according to the article, that's what he said in the article.
Here's the thing from the game, and I'm just going to describe like Bill and I always forget the other dude's name because Bill is the heavier set guy played by the comedian. I'm kicking myself for not remember his name.
I'm not sure exactly the article. I should have brought up
because in the game, like Bill and him had a falling out because he knew he was dying and he kind of was trying to separate himself from Bill, and he hung himself in secret. And there was a breach on the gate, so of course some of the infected got in, and Bill never found his body up until later on. Game wise, it made sense because it's the first time you learn how to make traps in the game, because there's like explosive traps, sound traps that you can throw that makes noise to draw clickers, and all the ones that are driven by sound to that general direction. It was a way to kind of build in that mechanic, and then it also was a good introduction to some of the bigger, badder infected that hopefully we run into later. And like the layout of Lincoln was completely different because a lot of it was blocked off with cars. There was a bunch of stuff going on in Lincoln, and of course you had infected running loose. Bill had set up traps because Bill's good at traps, and he was busy looking for his boyfriend at the time. And only through the course of the game does Bill find out what happened, and then Bill helps with the big boss battle in the middle of Lincoln. And there's a lot of interaction between him and Ellie. And to me in the game, it made sense from a game mechanic standpoint because you're learning how to make traps. And there's also that parallel between Bill and Ellie, because even though it hasn't been revealed yet, because a year after the first game came out, there's a DLC known as Left Behind, which goes over how Ellie got infected. And Ellie actually was out with her girlfriend, and they were exploring a dead mall and looking at Halloween costumes. And during the process is when she got bit and her girlfriend got killed.
That little aspect was hinted at, I think, in one of the earlier, I think the second episode. She says she was exploring.
It's mentioned, but it's going to show up as an actual storyline later on. I'm going to assume sometime after Pittsburgh, which should be this episode. And then sometime before the cannibals, well, the pedo cannibals, and we're just going to leave it at that later on. But they'll probably insert that like during the whole, recovery of Joel, because something horrible will happen to Joel. And Ellie gets what she needs to do to make sure Joel's okay. And we get a flashback sequence into what would have been in the game Left Behind. At least that's my guess. If it's not hinted at this episode, it'll probably be episode 5. But I think that's why they went the different direction, because they wanted Bill to have a happier story. And because we're watching a show, we don't need that tutorial on how to make traps.
Right. Like I said, I just wanted to bring that up. It's like I wasn't fully sure of the full story behind of.
Disappointing we don't get the big monster battle, but we don't need that trap building thing. It would have been nice because I did want the whole interaction in the truck with Ellie leafing through the porno mag that Bill has hidden in the truck and go, wow, these pages are stuck together. Why are these pages stuck together?
But like I said, for me, it was the implied stuff that was uncomfortable. And I'm not exactly sure.
Everything else, like the romance, was fine. Like,
I had no problem with that.
Yeah.
But as someone, depending on how you want to word things, as a straight guy, as a cis guy, some of the thing
here's the thing I want you to take away from this, and I want you to watch a show that has your normal cis-het relationships in it that includes sex scenes, and I want you to look at it as if it was a same-sex couple or something else going on, and then ask yourself, if in that situation this was a same-sex couple, would I feel as uncomfortable now as I did then?
That I'm sure there are people that even if they were straight, they would find seeing atypical.
But what I'm saying is
stereotypical.
Like, if you're watching a hetero relationship on TV, it's commonplace.
Yeah, even though it might be commonplace, then I'm sure there are people out there
who find it
uncomfortable.
But those people aren't in the majority as they would be if it was same sex.
I'm sure. They're not. Most people, I think even George Carlin once said, "I'm more comfortable with somebody."
Though I will honestly say, I know my kid has been interested in some older slasher movies. Now, when it's come to the Friday the 13th chapter, I'm just like, fast forward.
Hey, that's how. Like I said, I've said it many times on your shows. Hey, that's how I got through puberty. Oh,
But you get
it's a
what I'm
horror movie.
saying.
Yeah, yeah. It the 80s. There's something about the 80s stuff. Nowadays, no. Now you can only
I
find
would
that
have.
stuff through
It was a
through.
beautiful episode, but I 100% agree with you. I felt a lot of that was forced, and the fact that you had cishet
It.
actors in the role made it feel even more forced.
I think I'm not exactly sure. I don't think. Like I said, I don't. I should have wrote it down so I had better context behind my statement because you know
No,
how much
no,
I like.
you said
But
it
um,
perfectly.
in regards to the person behind it having
It would be
wanting
like if
to
I wrote a
trick.
movie and had you and Big Candy as a couple in it, and then had scenes like that in it. It would
So
not be
what I
comfortable
meant
at all.
by, but the aspect of what that particular person thought was a gotcha moment or
It would be
a trick.
funny, but it would
But
not be
no, no,
cool.
no. What I mean is to the fans or to uh the right wing fans to get them all riled up. I'm not sure I don't remember what
I don't
exactly
think it
was
was
the
that. It was because, like, even Neil Druckmann, the guy who created Last of Us, he's like, I like the episode, but he's like, I understand there's a difference between TV and a video game.
right. So that's what I mean. Context of what exactly
And
the
he's
article
like,
might have
I
said
let
and
the
people were paying
writers
reference
do
to.
what they needed to do. And apparently, there is an uncut version of this episode that things get a little more complex, and it runs about 2.5 hours. And I'm kind of curious about that version.
What's
I don't know what would be in it, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. But he's like, it made me cry just watching the 2.5 hours.
so
It made the writer cry. It's like we were on the right track, but we still did not want this to be a 2.5 hour episode.
like I said, it to each their own. It's like I have my thoughts about certain things, and
Right,
again, it's
right.
like it's one of those things that
But
to
we
me,
agree here.
we
Understand that. We
right
agree.
there are things that, as I said even earlier in this episode, there are things that we agree upon, and there's things that we disagree upon,
I love
and
representation, but I hate it when it's forced. And I hate it. I hate it when it's not properly represented because we both know both of them actors are cishet. And to me, it's
it,
like, do you know how many gay actors are out there that would kill for that part? I'm like,
and
I know several bear actors that would love to do that, or are big and bearded and ready
And the thing
for it.
is, that's why it's like that's one of the things I agree with you on. It's like, yeah, do I want to see?
But even
Should
then,
there represent?
even they would be like, hey, this is a little much. We can have the
Right?
romance, but we don't need to show the bedroom.
Do I want Would I agree to representation? Yes. Should we have representation?
Yes.
Yes. Should we palette swap? Should we gender swap? Should we swap? What
Depends
has
on
been
the
long.
scenario and how interesting the story is.
To me, I'm on the other side. It's like no, no. If it's been long standing, no.
But think of it
Should.
this way, and
But
this is
if
how I
you
look
want to
at
create
it.
your own,
Like, take Spider Man, for example. Okay. We're so used to milk toast,
Peter Parker.
Caucasian, Jewish. A lot of people don't know this, but Peter Parker's Jewish, Jewish Spider Man. Now, with Miles Morales, that Spider Man still exists, but he's dead in that timeline, and this is the
So
person
he took
that
a lot.
steps up.
It makes me sound hypocritical in some instances, and it's
I'm okay with
yeah.
that.
But it's like I'm okay with something like Miles Morales.
Yes.
They didn't say, okay, here's Peter Parker, and we
Make
made
him
him
black.
make him black or make him multiracial.
Like
He took a
Nick Fury.
he was an alternate version of it.
I
Nick
don't
Fury,
care. To me,
I don't care about that.
As terrible as it sounds, and you might not remember this, but I remember it because I remember all the crap, so you don't have to. Back in the day,
David Hasselhoff,
there we go.
the Hoff,
He was our
the
Nick
Hoff.
Fury.
I've seen it. He was our Nick Fury. But there are instances where, okay, you probably know this. I'm a Stephen King fan. My favorite series of books from Stephen King is Dark Tower. Don't you cite me, woman.
No. Because here's my problem with Dark Tower. It was King at an early age creating his worlds, and it shows, and he tried to create a multiverse in Stephen King world. I'm not a fan of that. There's like some stuff as a 15-year-old kid you need to let go of.
I like the series. When the movie came out, did I have issues with
now the Talisman
Idris?
Series, I liked.
Oh, did I have issues with Idris being Roland?
No.
Not real. Though I was like, I wanted to see him, like with my review of Hellraiser, I wanted to see how he did the role. Did I like how Eldris
did a great job?
Did I like how Eldris portrayed Roland? Yes.
It's Eldris. He doesn't do anything wrong.
He did it. Man. He hyped it. He did the character justice. But I still would have loved Scott Eastwood, I think his name is Clint Eastwood's son.
Yes,
do the role.
Oh God!
But I'm not knocking Idris at all. He did a bang up job. That the whole Dark Tower movie was a shit show from a studio perspective. That's what it was. The people who played the characters did a bang up job. I have no problem with that. And a lot of folks are like, well, Stephen King signed off of it. He said it was probably one of the spokes in the wheel that is Dark Tower. Like, dude, any author that has a studio runs up to them, drives up to them with a mining dump truck full of freaking cash and dumps it in their driveway, they're going to say yes and promote the damn thing anyway. It doesn't matter.
Let's agree on something here when it comes with young Eastwood. His talents were wasted in that sequel to Pacific Rim.
So after we watched it, the sequel, I think I've seen it once.
It was okay because you had him and you had what's his name from all the new Star Wars.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I loved him in Attack the Block. I can't wait for Attack the Block 2. I hope his new stardom doesn't ruin it. But a sequel to Attack the Block in a prison? Give me now, please.
But
have you seen Attack the Block?
No, I have to. I have.
You got to watch Attack the Block.
The list of movies I have yet to watch could feel like
it is so good because it deals with a bunch
of
it deals with a bunch of British like gangster kids where they don't have guns, but they have fireworks and pocket knives, and they have to go up against an alien horde. And they're not even 16. Most of them are like 14, 15. And that guy is only like 14 or 15 because the one girl in the movie has to break into his bedroom to get some stuff out for him. And she's like, oh, does your little brother live here? Because he's got Spider-Man sheets. And he's all like, no, that's my bedroom. And it's like, oh my God, this is a little shit.
But there's stuff like that you can understand why I seem hypocritical. It's just that whole aspect, it's like my arguments in regards to it's like 50 years ago, close to 50 years ago, we had the whole aspect of blaxploitation movies where you had a bunch of folks saying, we don't like what's going on in Hollywood. We're going to do shit ourselves.
Here's the thing that I think that's interesting when it comes to the whole Idris and the Dark Tower debate.
What?
And granted, I know the truth behind this. You ever read much of Ian Fleming's books?
No.
Okay, so the basis of James Bond, like the description that's given,
Oh, the James Bond book. In order,
he's never described as white. He's tall, dark, and handsome. And to me, it's like
but
just cast Idris. But I do know that Christopher Lee was good friends with Ian Fleming, and that was actually his basis for James Bond.
but
Young
from what I
Christopher
heard,
Lee was.
I don't know who might have mentioned it or where they're getting the information from, but a lot of folks have come out and said in regards to Ian Fleming's 007 books that the character is overly sexist, he's overly racist, he's overly this, he's overly that. So
it was a product of the time. Because you have to remember, the original novels were set in like the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. People are so used to associating it with the 60s, 70s, and 80s because that's when a lot of the big Bond trends were going on with the films. But the earlier books, much earlier.
like I said, this is a conversation. We could go into this conversation, I mean, really deeply at some point. This is kind of what I want to do. Go into the aspects
of the podcast of darkness. We
right.
Go off on a tangent.
But
hashtag tangent.
Because I've had folks come up to me, it's like, well, in regards to, we got to do it. No, you got, it's like, the person I spoke to, excuse me, said, oh, the reason why everything's so cis and all this is because everybody's been gaslit. And in essence, my response to it is like, yeah, and you're gaslighting everybody else to race, gender, and in essence, you're gaslighting folks to gaslight, and you're taking the easy way out by flipping everything, taking what's there. Like best example, let's take the new Little Mermaid thing. That the controversy behind that. I'm not knocking the actress at all. I'm just using it as an example. My point in regards to that I want to make in my show when I was putting everything together, and we can dwell on it, it's like, why not have, instead of redoing a race swapping the little Ariel, why not do something the equivalent of a Christmas Carol?
Right.
And what I mean by that is the premise of Christmas Carol has been point for point been done throughout. I'm not just talking about a readaptation of the original Dickens story, but they've done the real Ghostbusters done something similar as a cartoon in the 80s. Mm-hmm. It's that aspect. They used someone from the past, someone present, someone the future.
You're talking about the Christmas Carol episode with Brooke.
Right, like, okay. Yeah. Something similar in regards to how that story's been adapted and changed. You could have something equivalent.
Here's the thing, and I'm kind of glad that you mentioned The Little Mermaid, but did you know that Hans Christian Andersen was gay and his story about The Little Mermaid was about his romance of another guy?
But hear me out in regards to this. Instead of redoing the whole
ending of that wasn't happy.
but instead of redoing or color swapping Ariel, they already readapted or did a similar aspect of the Little Mermaid story in a way. If you want to reach, it was called, and it's owned by Disney. It's called Splash.
Okay.
It's Splash is a Little Mermaid story.
There's a Splash too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And did you already know there's an Encino Man too, and everybody forgets about that?
But the thing is, that's my point. It's like you could redo Splash, and it works, and it'll work, and people don't want to do it
because they do that. I think they tried to, and it didn't pan out.
Didn't pan out, but either way, it's something. Well, that's my reach argument. Like, Splash was a modern retelling of The Little Mermaid.
But here's the thing, and this is the big thing. You're dealing with one medium versus another. You're dealing with a video game character
and
a television character.
right? And you have to
There's
figure
going to
as
be
well.
some layover.
With
Could you imagine if we had a Legend of Zelda movie and the whole way through we had to deal with Navi?
you mean the fairy?
Listen, look, listen.
You got to figure people, the fans, if that fairy wasn't in there doing that, you'd have 50% of the fans wanting it in there. Another
It's
50
still
like,
better
why?
than excuse me,
Oh,
princess.
come on! If they do a Legend of Zelda movie and she does not say or Link does not say "excuse me, princess," I am pissed. To this day, I am pissed. I am pissed that
if they don't reference the CDI. I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok.
Listen, I am pissed to this day that Tony Stark and Doctor Strange should not look at each other and say, "No shit, Sherlock." I am pissed.
Yes, I agree, but you get what I'm saying. It's just
yes, it's like they have to for the
there's
fans.
some changes. I still don't understand why they changed the date of the outbreak. I'm hoping for some sort of better explanation,
but
yeah, that's my only quibble.
Minor changes are nitpickers fodder. There, we can nitpick about a whole mess of different things.
Right. But at the end of the day, like when it comes to the song Future Days, just the fact that, I don't get to hear Pearl Jam adaptation of it and then Joel teaching Ellie how to do it, I'm kind of disappointed. And that's just me. It's Pearl Jam. Come on, it's like a band that we grew up with. And then just to say, no, they don't exist canonically in this timeline making that song.
The Moose in jokes continue. Just catching up real quick. Basically, the group that I'm part of, that we've been in essence together.
Well, I'm going to let you describe that. I have to hit the latrine, and I shall return.
Okay. Folks at home, like most groups, we have my D&D group has in jokes. That's right, we have in jokes, and it's our in joke stems from one of the first sessions we put out for the campaign. One of the first things we ran into was a giant moose. It could have been normal sized moose for all we know. A moose that kind of sort of talked a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly. So to this day, moose jokes are a plenty that we talk about, and every time we find something funny involving moose, we put it out, we share it. And I am going to tell them, that is I got a reply to this. The Moose in jokes shall continue. Moose in jokes continue. Send. It has to always continue. Good in jokes always continue. They will last forever. The sad thing is having to explain them to new people and having to fill dead air while folks go to the latrine. And let's see what's this. And that and that.
So what did I miss?
Basically, one of the folks in my D&D group shared a moose joke, and as I was telling the folks at home,
the band Muse?
No, moose, M-O as in
okay.
Yeah, I moosed my hair, sort of thing.
Yeah, I got you.
One of the first encounters, I think it was either session 1 or session 2, we had to fight a talking moose. a spiritual talking moose, and since then, moose jokes rear their ugly head every so
Canadian?
often. Oh yeah, not the atypical Canadian, Alaskan moose.
Hey,
So
you watch them Leafs.
you watch the Leafs and stuff like that. So it's like
Yeah, hoser.
for in essence, the moose jokes in this group are like goat jokes between like you, me, and the gang. They just keep rearing their ugly head all the time. It's like, oh look, another funny moose joke. Got to share it with the group. So, and it's always something. And with this particular group, it's always something funny. I'm always finding that person energy. You have like I haven't found your energy yet through like TikTok, but I found other people's energy. Like, oh, this
I don't
reminds
know
me
if
of
I
this
can do
person.
it. It's like people who's like, oh, you need to be on Snapchat. No, I'm not. I'm
No,
not under the age of 13. I'm good.
no, it's I don't want to go on Snapchat. I think
I
I
don't want to
created an
go on
account for
TikTok
myself.
either. It's like, no,
It's like I go on TikTok. I find energy that represents like big candy. I'll find energy that represents like folks in my D&D group. Uh, and other than that, it's like no, no, no. I haven't found. It's like this screams Sasha energy. No, I haven't found that yet.
dark,
But
spooky, and sarcastic. It shouldn't be too hard to find. I know
I
goth isn't
just
as big as it used to be.
uh not not that nothing that screams Sasha.
Well,
Nothing that
I
screams
mean,
Sasha.
at least in this universe.
But all the stuff I just find.
Besides, I
It's
am
like,
Sasha Supreme.
but it's other stuff. It's like some of the stuff you've seen what I've shared on Facebook in
Oh
regards to
yeah,
some of the
I saw you
TikTok.
share
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kid goat. I'm like, oh, you have a kid now, and I was just like, I don't want to say that.
Go
It's
ahead. It's like
corny.
I think one year a like a women's group for charity they sang Christmas carols to the um incorporated like goats singing Jingle Bells and Silent
Oh
Night,
God,
and I shared it with Big Candy, and he said,
playing with my skull.
"No, no." I said, "No sooner did I send it," he said,
I like the
within
lightning.
about 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, he was like, "Fuck you." He literally went, "Fuck you." I went, uh, I understand the fuck you, but what happened?" He said, message back on Facebook was, I nearly fell down the stairs laughing so hard watching this video. Like, and you are, in that case, you are welcome. Dot, 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 send.
So, like Last of Us, like at least the first
But,
two episodes, we can both say we've enjoyed them. Um,
right.
like the second episode did have a major.
I'm not saying I'm not saying the third episode wasn't bad. It's just that
Well, no, I enjoyed the third
uh,
episode. There's certain creative choices I would have made. Like personally, I would have loved to see that Bill didn't die and he was still mourning his partner's death, and then Joel and Ellie show up. That's the direction I would have went, and then thrown in the big boss fight. But it just made sense because like when Bill's partner decided to die, why wouldn't Bill end his life? Um, yes, suicide awareness, things of that nature.
yeah,
But come on, we're dealing with an apocalypse situation. There isn't too much really going on. But it would have been interesting. But outside of that, I like the episode for what it was, but I almost feel it was like early Emmy bait. It was too late to get this Emmys, but it might get next Emmys.
right. But either way,
But the first two episodes, fine. The second episode, my only other quibble is the way that Tess dies. That was not supposed to be the cordyceps creatures. It was actually supposed to be Fedra. Fedra was busted up the Fireflies, not the cordyceps creatures. Like the Fedra agents that run the whole town that they're in found out the Fireflies were meeting there, and that's who killed the Fireflies. And then when Ellie, Joel, and Tess shows up, they had to contend with Fedra agents. Tess is like, I'm already bit, so fuck these guys. I'm going to end their day. And so Joel and Ellie, it's the same end result. Again, it's a quibble, but I think in later parts of the show, it would have been better because by the time we get to chapter 2, there is a lot of fuck Fedra sentiment. Because when you get to chapter 2, you find out Fedra absolutely fucking failed. And Fedra is the guys who run the towns that everybody lives in. You got to check in, they scan everybody, etc.
Don't mind me. It's just that
I thought you'd froze up for a second. I'm like, oh crap, computer issues.
No, pardon me. It's like I saw a few clips on. Not to break away from Last of Us. I saw a few clips. Well, we can go into something different if you want.
Well, that's what I kind of wanted to lead into. Like, we're both in agreement that when it comes to video game adaptation, it's pretty good. And one of the things I wanted to point out here, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I can hook you up. It's on my Vudu. If my password's changed again, let me know. I'll send you the new password. But the new Resident Evil, like, they finally gave us everything that we wanted out of a Resident Evil movie, like fans of Resident Evil, and we still fucking hated it.
Oh, that's been going on for a while.
Yeah. But like the most recent one, we had everything. We had the mansion, we had RE2, we had actual characters. Everybody still fucking hated it. And it's like, what more do you want? Yes, I want to see the Romero script, but Romero's dead. We're not getting that adaptation. Just get over it. We got a couple Japanese commercials. That's all you're getting. Maybe someday somebody will take the franchise and do something decent with it. Get over it. But not all video game adaptations are bad. For every Uncharted, we get a Last of Us.
Yes, your password does work because under my gamer tag for the show on my Xbox, the Long Coat Mafia account on my Xbox Live, I have your password for Vudu on there.
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, not yet.
It's on my Vudu. Watch it. If that doesn't win Academy Awards and Oscars, fuck the Oscars.
No, I don't. I see it. You got it there.
Yes. It's so good.
But why am I drawn to Crabs?
I just watched that recently. If you watch it, we'll watch it and do a review together.
So is it
it is cheesy horror sci-fi with a bit of kaiju action mixed in.
And I see the
bad new, but good.
The new Resident Evil, the one that came out like 2 years ago or close to 2 years ago. See Everything Everywhere all at once.
Well, see, my options were to get Crabs on Vudu for like $15 or buy it on Blu-ray or DVD for 30 plus. And I'm like, fuck that, I'll just get it on Vudu. And
yeah,
with
I understand
my new card, I can grab shit right off of Vudu and upload it to my computer. So if you want to do Crabs, we can do Crabs. It is a weird, cheesy, fucking sci-fi, weird-ass movie about killer crabs. All about it. If you want to turn it into a double feature with Island Claws, I will buy that fucker and we'll watch it too.
Yeah. It's there.
I think you'll dig it.
Somehow. Why do you have a message? Oh, that's... No, that's me. Why do I have 3 chat requests? All of them all of it has been fucking spam.
Yeah, most of it is. I don't even look at Instagram anymore because everything is spam.
Let's see. I have friends with one of your old friends. This amount famous account. I want to ask them down to play later. It's me and a mutual friend. Play later on Twitch. My Twitch is. Let's see. That's 12 days ago. It shows you how often I'm on fucking show's account.
Right.
That's from 12 days ago.
So, while we're on topic, Rick and Morty, the whole debate with Rick and Morty, because you, I think, posted it well before
Yeah.
I did. What's going on there?
The dealio with that.
Justin Roiland,
The voice of Rick and Morty himself.
Creator of Rick and Morty.
Creator of Rick and Morty. Or say one of the creators of Rick and Morty. What happened was, I think 2021, if not as far back as 2019, he had charges put up against him in regards to domestic abuse. Not him and his lawyer are fighting the charges, and to see exactly, like I said, as I told George and I've told you, is like this. The details are not out yet. Things were made public, I think, late last year, or in essence, early this year. The charges have been floating around for a while. He got arrested. I think things are going to a head this year. That's why everything's coming out now. And folks at Adult Swim and Squanch Games are getting ahead of the matter just in case these accusations are true.
All right, so I'm going to give you my take on this. How often do you watch the end credits?
For Rick and Morty?
Yeah, like the very end title card that's done in claymation.
All the time. I think I've paid attention to it. The one that says you got that or something like that.
Well, you'll notice that in like the first couple seasons, it shows actually like a claymation version of Justin Roiland with his girlfriend at the time. I guess at some point they were married. And throughout the show, if you pay attention to that end title card, you can see that the relationship kind of fell apart. And then I guess Justin realized his sexuality, found his proper partner, and ever since, like the end title card has been pretty upbeat. And the thing that sinks it all is season 5, episode 10 of Rick and Morty. At the very end, there is a finale stinger involving Mr. Poopy Butthole. And he talks about relationships and how things sometimes don't work out, and the partners that we're with and the people that we should be sharing our life with, but it's not working out. And then you find the people that you should be sharing it with, but you kind of feel guilty about all the people that you hurt on the way. Justin has been telling his side of the story since season fucking 1. None of this stuff was never made transparent. It was always out there in the open. He was always telling us what was going on. It's kind of like the shit with Marilyn Manson, another person who's got a lot of controversy around them of late. At no point did he ever say that he was a positive person to be within a relationship. He's made it clear in his music, his life, his interviews, that he's a violent, nasty person and nobody should be with him. And anybody who is with him is welcoming tragedy into their lives. Kind of reminds me of that old story about the old woman in the middle of winter collecting sticks to keep her fire warm, and she finds a snake that's frozen to the ground. She takes the snake inside, lets him warm up, lets him thaws out, nurses him back to health. And at the end of the day, the snake bites the old woman, killing her. And as she dies, She says, "Why did you do this to me? I took you in, I kept you alive." And you know what the snake's response is? "Bitch, I'm a fucking snake. I told you that from the beginning." And I'm not
In essence, the I think it's the frog and the scorpion, or the frog and scorpion and the turtle, some shit like that. Same type of story.
right. But the thing of it is that Justin Roiland has been saying from season one that he was in a bad relationship. And now he's in a good spot. And he's not saying that he didn't hurt people. He's never once denied that, because sometimes it takes us a while to figure out who we are, what we are, where we're going in life. And it sucks because nobody wants to be alone.
All in all, the how the trial goes down and what comes out of the trial we will eventually find out
But
what happened.
I
Right.
honestly don't think that his show should be taken from him until a decision's made, because it's not like he wasn't transparent with us from the beginning. Same way with Marilyn Manson. Yes, he's an
I'm
asshole.
saying I'm
The dick.
I'm saying the granted you bring out fine examples, but you also have to look at the past. What has happened in the past as well. Look at Johnny Depp. Look at uh, Chris Hardwick.
But at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
but things that things came out or they got accused of something. Like let's say Chris Hardwick, he got married. He had a relationship before. He got married to a wonderful person, and this person he got married to was a person with cash. Pretty much she was part of, I think, if I remember correctly, in interviews he's given, this person was like part of the uh, paper industry or something like that. She's an heiress of the paper industry. In essence, chick's got money, and he's built up his company and what he's doing and nurse and all that over the years. And this ex-girlfriend all of a sudden came out and saying, "Oh, he's abusive. He's this. He's that. He's this. He's done this. He's done that." And what happened was Nerdist took his name off of anything that said he was a founder. San Diego Comic-Con, if I remember sure, said he's no longer able to host any panels anymore at San Diego. Even his podcasts that he did with Nerdist were taken off the air. His ID10T podcast got listeners left that show. But it came out later that through receipts being put out and through litigation, that some of the stuff that she was saying were not right. She was just all like, it came out closer to the aspect of she was saying some of the stuff to get money off of him because he was married into money, so to speak.
and that's the whole thing. Like, would this even be a debate if he didn't have money and everything else? And why are we taking a show from the creator? Because let's be honest, when it comes down to it, Rick and Morty, Rick is not the hero of the story. He never has been. Never.
Well, he's always been an asshole.
Exactly. And I honestly think with this whole show, it was Justin Roiland examining his life. And Rick is everything that he was, and Morty is everything that he should be. You know, he had to live as Rick, as the asshole, for the longest time, and now he gets to live as Morty. And it sucks that there's people in our lives that shit goes sour with. You've been through it, I've been through it, we've all been through it. It sucks.
Right.
You know, we regret it. Granted, sometimes we're narcissistic assholes who won't admit to it. But at the end of the day, like, if you legit sit down and listen to like that one post-credit scene I described, like, it's literally Justin Roiland talking to his audience and everything that's going on up until the end of season 5. I can play it now if you want.
No, I got I got it on my Vudu. I have at least all 6 seasons on
Yeah,
Vudu.
season 5,
So
episode 10, post-credit scene, Poopy Butthole. He pretty much sums it up, and it's a heartbreaking speech. And I think that's actually Justin Roiland talking from the heart before all of this shit happened. And to be honest, if you were paying attention towards every last claymation in credits through his heartache, his pain, his breakup, his separation, finding a new partner, and having new hope, you know, it doesn't make sense. If they were going to do anything, they shouldn't continue the show. They should just end it and then
the
wait.
thing is, what's going to happen? Let's say best case scenario. Best case scenario. He is declared innocent of every charge.
I don't even think he's going to be declared innocent because I hate to say it. He will probably go to trial and say, "Hey, these are the facts," and they're not going to be.
Let's say for granted, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. It comes out in trial that he is innocent of all these charges. There's no proof that he did it. He's innocent. What happens then?
Exactly.
But if he is guilty, yeah, it's though hindsight is 2020. He now has, you know, these shows pretty much distance themselves, saying, "Hey, this is why we did it then because, well, look, hey, we didn't want his name on stuff that he was guilty of. That's why we did it. So this was just a preventative measure."
To me, it's just like in the show because we've had delays in Rick and Morty before.
Right.
Let the delays happen. I mean, hell, look at shows that didn't have any problems, like the Ventures Brothers. Like, hell, there were sometimes what 2, 3 years between seasons.
Something like that. Heck, same thing happened with like Robot Chicken. There's been times like 2 or 3 years. It was steady like year after year after year, but after that it was like 2 years, 3 years. I don't even know if there's going to be a season 12. I don't
Exactly.
even know if there's not. So
I mean, it's like look at Aqua Teen Hunger Force. We're getting a new season finally, but none of the voice actors are the same, which kind of sucks for my buddy Casey Means, and I hope he somehow gets something out of this because he's had
right,
to go to shows and not had rooms or things of that nature because nobody's paying attention to the fact that he started this show. He didn't get to participate in the latest movie, and chances are he's not going to get to participate in future seasons. And it sucks because that's just how Cartoon Network operates. Of course, Cartoon Network is going away. It's all going to be HBO Max here soon, or Hulu, or some sort of combination between the two. But
that's like,
it
in
sucks.
regards to that. Depending on who you pay attention to with like HBO Max and Warner Brothers stuff and Cartoon Network, they're taking like when was it last year? I think it was half their content's now gone. Like half the cartoons and stuff that was on, I think one of the networks is now gone.
Right. It's just like Saturday morning cartoons. Look how quickly that faded because you could access everything on the internet whenever you wanted it. Why do you got to wake up at 5 in the morning and have a giant bowl of cereal and not wake up your parents? You don't have that excuse now. You can wake up any time in the day and stream it on your phone or your
It
computer or whatever.
mostly when depending on again, that's something depending on who you talk to. Saturday morning cartoons. Soon as Cartoon Network start and Boomerang started to hit, why watch? Why wait for the end of the school day? You had cartoons 24/7.
And you do now too. But
Yeah,
that's how
I'm
it
sure you've
is.
seen my Voodoo.
Yeah.
You've seen my Voodoo.
Of
You
course,
know
I
what's
can't
on
get
there.
past, Transformers the movie 86 because that just plays on repeat. So sorry. It just happens. It's like the other night while I was at work, having to work on things and just getting completely messed up and about ready to have a heart attack. The boss is all like, Sosh, you can't have a heart attack tonight. I'm like, I know, I've got better things to do tonight than die.
Then die. It's bad enough I use bad references when I introduce the Rage Room because a lot of folks that come in are not so much millennials, they're Gen Zers, or like they're 20s, like 21. And I'll point to, because I put large screen TVs in the corner. I'm like, see that TV over there in the corner? See that TV in the spotlight? See that TV losing its religion? And they're like, huh, what? I'm like, oh my God, nobody gets REM anymore, motherfucker. I need a few Gen X, give me a Gen Xers, give me, a
All
millennial,
I know
somebody that gets REM, man.
is one night we were cleaning stairwells, and one of my coworkers make the offhand comment. I don't know who they were talking to, but I had to lose it because the song immediately popped into my head because he was bitching, I guess, about something going on between him and his girlfriend. And he's all like, I don't know what her problem is, but I fuck like a beast. And immediately, Wasp was in my head. And you know what I mean when I say Wasp, fuck like a beast.
So, songs do that all the damn time. It's like I cannot hear in the heat of the moment without thinking freaking supernatural. Same thing with was Rocky, like Eye of the Tiger. I can't think if it wasn't for
It's like
supernatural.
the other day, and I think you'll find humor in this, but we have like one of them big giant indoor stadiums, and I'm
Yeah.
up on the top track, and somebody sees me up there sweeping, and they're like, "Hey!" And my immediate statement is, "Oh!" And then down below, you know what they said?
What?
No, A O.
Oh,
Let's go. A O.
Oh,
Let's go.
let's go. And it's like people don't get it. It's like
And of
I'll
course, the
hear
20 something that's downstairs with the what the hell is that? And we're both like, fucking
like,
Ramones.
or it's like somebody will put on it was in Hardball. It's like from Notorious B.I.G. It's like Big Papa. It's like every time I hear that song, I can't think of. My brain goes straight to Hardball, and
Every
I was like,
day at
like
7 o'clock, because that is the middle of our shift. And my one coworker says to me, we're halfway there. And my immediate statement is, oh,
oh,
living like a prayer. But you know,
it's like only us know about it. It's like now I get a lot more because I was now more into metal, more into those type of songs, thanks to friends. Looking back, though my adopted father passed away a good many years ago, I remember him telling me it's like he was in he worked for a custom not bus, but the place that he worked for did bloodmobiles and
okay.
stuff like that. And he said he came home, he was telling us that one of the guys is a big, music buff. Obviously, he was a metalhead. And he listened, they'd have the radio playing at work, and the station that they listened to would always have a trivia, and he'd always try to call in and win because you'd get free food sent to your location. And it was always lunch for the guys. He said he gave the phone to my dad. I pretty much a boomer, doesn't know music worth a shit. And he said, let me know. I gotta go take a piss. I'll be back. If they pick up, let me know. Shout to me in the bathroom. I'll give you the answer. And no sooner, like not even 2 minutes later, he picks up and says, "All right, you're on the air. What's the answer?" And he said, he called up the mic portion on the phone and went, "Yo, Tommy, what's the answer?" It's like 9-inch nails. And here's this boomer of a man going, 9-inch nails? Someone who has no idea who 9-inch nails are saying 9-inch nails. He's like, "Yeah, that's correct. You got the answer." I'm like, "Oh, that you have like no fucking clue. No fucking clue, do you?" This is also a man that knew on almost a yearly basis if it was on TV, I'd watch the damn thing. the movie Flash, Queen music. Sat with me to watch Highlander fucking 2. Yeah, I know. Don't bring it up, right? But still, when I started listening to Queen and bitching about, I don't get this band at all. I'm like, dude, you don't even understand that half the music was in like 3 of the movies that I watched all the goddamn time. We Are the Champions is in every sports shit. Like, dude, I'm amazed we had developed the phrase boomer back when we were kids half the time.
Right. Insane. But anyways,
Anywho's.
so 2022 year-end review. What were some of your favorite movies from 2022?
I had favorite movies in 2022.
Well, just remember, you didn't necessarily see them in theaters, so
It's like I don't remember. Was I alive in 2022?
yeah, I think everybody was. It was only 2 months ago.
I felt like I was in Jack Sparrow mode the whole year.
All right, so let's bring up a controversial topic. Halloween Ends. Did you enjoy it?
Is that the final one?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet. So I cannot fully comment on it.
You have to watch it, but you'll regret the fact that you watched it. Because to me, it was like, why didn't you just go ahead and make Christine? Yeah, because Michael doesn't do much of the killings. There's this other guy who was accused of killing somebody who goes completely ape shit and does some killing. And you can kind of tell they were adapting Halloween 3, but they wanted to keep the Michael narrative, and it was a mess. It really makes you appreciate Halloween 2018. So much Halloween Kills. But Halloween Ends, it's like any trilogy. They did not make the landing. It's bad, and it's really bad. And you're just kind of like, oh, okay, when's Michael going to kill somebody here? So, yeah, I don't recommend Halloween Ends at all. I've been debating on getting the extended cut, but I'm kind of like, do I want an extra half hour of disappointment?
Well, it can't be worse than Ghostbusters 2016. Oh.
Here's the thing with Ghostbusters. Everybody gets mad at me on this because controversial opinion. Yes, Ghostbusters 2016 was a failure. However, Sony still made their money on it. It brought attention back to the originals, and it gave us Afterlife, and it will give us Firehouse at the end of the year. It was a necessary evil, unfortunately. It sucked, but without it, we would not have the true Ghostbusters 3 that we got. Nor we would have gotten Ecto Cooler. And I have a recipe for that.
But
like original Ecto Cooler, Erecto Cooler. Goddamn. Ecto Cooler. Original Ecto Cooler utilizing Tampico Citrus Punch and
I should say to interrupt you to quote capped language
and Minute Maid lemonade and Tampico Citrus Punch. It's 4 parts Tampico Citrus Punch, 1 part Minute Maid lemonade, and about 3 or 4 drops of green food coloring until you get the right coloring, and presto, you have 80s style Ecto Cooler. And it's all Coke products, and it's technically official because even Coke kind of confirmed it recently.
It's like I haven't, other than like watching Avatar and watching Hellraiser and a few of the others that I haven't watched that many movies in 2022
For
that I
me,
can recall.
when it comes
But
to 2022, my top three movies. Number one, Everything Everywhere All at Once. If in March it doesn't take every last Oscar that's out there, fuck the Academy because it is
not the
broken.
Academy as it is. It's already it has been broken.
But it's a better multiverse story than it has any right to be, and it's better than anything that Marvel will ever make. That's my number one. My number two is motherfucking Prey. I loved Prey, and it aggroes me
Oh,
that everybody looks at the actress that gets to slay the predator and Prey. Oh, she needs to be in a Marvel movie. She already has been in a Marvel TV series. Fuck her being in a Marvel movie. Put her in Star Wars as Ventress, then we'll talk. And then finally, my number three movie, of course, is Hellraiser. I love the new Hellraiser. Curious about the new series that's going to be coming out. I think it's on Showtime, but there's going to be a TV series that's more based in the original series Hellraiser. And I hope they crib a lot from the comic books that Clive Barker put out. But I also hope, because Clive Barker wants to write more stories about the Hell Priestess from the new Hellraiser, that happens too.
speaking of Clive Barker, I want Nightbreed to be on Vudu so I can pick it up. I'll spend the $13 for it.
It's on Shutter. Do you want my login? They have
You got
both
Shutter?
cuts. Yes, they have both cuts on Shutter, the theatrical and the director's cut.
I might have to steal that off you.
All right, I'll hook you up.
I'm in, but it's that aspect of I got into watching Nightbreed on the original. I have it on DVD somewhere. I saw the director's cut, and I love that too. I was worried about the director's cut.
It's good. It's good for
Yeah,
work
I
print.
love.
It's exceptionally
Yeah,
good.
I loved it. It's like it added a little bit to it. It added just enough. It didn't ruin it. It's like I was scared that it was going to ruin
That's like
my
I
thoughts on.
wish whoever did that work print to restore it did the work print for Alien 3. Because dear God, if that work print of Alien 3 would have got out, we would have a hell of a lot more respect for Fincher than what we should.
It.
I still hope we get Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5, but that's neither here nor there. I can dream.
And the thing is, if
And Hasbro Pulse has that Pulse rifle, and it's just so tempting. But I don't want to mod it and paint it and do everything else with it to make it right.
oh yeah, I'll download it. The good thing is if you give me that login pass, not only would I be able to see it, I'll be able to at least watch some of the Joe Bob stuff. Check that out
Well,
because I've been
here's
wanting
something I
to.
want to tell you about. And a
But
lot of people hate Old School Gamer, which is a online kind of like supplier for retro controllers and whatnot that are third party. They actually make an HDMI video capture card for the PC. It is choice. Like you get it, it's less than $20. I recommend you get an HDMI splitter, couple long HDMI cords, and a USB-C like charging cable. Make sure it's pretty long as well. And then that way you can split your feed out, have everything feed to your computer. It's HDMI. You can make copies of any movie off of any streaming service you want, plus any game that you want as well, including all the wonderful cutscenes that Sony and Xbox likes to block. Speaking of, since we were on the topic of gaming, so the Dead Space remake, I noticed so far is only Xbox Series S and PlayStation 5. However, the digital copy says X and S. So does that mean on my X I can play the new Dead Space remake?
I don't think so. It has to be a Series S
But
or
it
a Series.
says X/S.
That's referring to the pulling this out here. Don't break, don't break. Bag, don't break. They're referring to. I have it. There's much there. Part of me wants to give it to one of my other friends, but I'm afraid that as soon as I give it to somebody, that version's gonna fucking pop on me. This version, the one with the white speaker in it, what looks like a white speaker. This
Isn't
version,
that the one I have?
yours is the step below this.
Okay. Because like when
This
it
is the
said
current.
/X/S, I was like, but I'm like $60 and will it play?
Your version is you have when it comes to Xbox One, you have the OG, what they call the VCR version, which is
Okay.
the one that's like this thick.
Okay.
It's like 2 inches. It's like an old school VCR thick.
Right, right.
And the one you have is pretty much the .5 version of
Okay.
this.
Damn.
It's the step between the original and this version.
Okay. Because I
But
was
the strain,
literally thinking about picking it up digitally, and I'm like, I don't know.
it may or may not. I do not, because the reason why I say that is because oddly, if you want to look at the specs of between what you have and what this is, what you have might be it comes off as slightly more powerful, but this depends on the game.
Okay.
The reason why I say is because
like $60 is a hell of an ask. You know what I mean?
it's bad enough I want to get the Dead Island new Dead Island, I say the true Dead Island 2 when
Yeah.
it comes out uh next month, but paying $60 for something that's equivalent of 312, 500 megs is small. Like, what the hell is it? It's probably closer to like what Destiny is, but this is going back in my box as protection, just in case that poo bar's on me.
Yep.
If
Now,
not,
it's
I
gonna
got a
sound
bunch.
weird. I've been playing a lot of PS3 lately because I've been picking up those titles for super cheap.
But
What do you
speaking of,
know
go ahead.
about
What? Go ahead.
Arkham Origins?
Oh, just
Is
that
it
there's some
worth
controversy.
getting or no?
I haven't played it yet.
I
Let me
have
see if it's.
Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. And obviously on the PS4, I have Arkham Knight. But I saw there was an Arkham Origins on 3, and I'm like, well, what's this?
I wonder if it's on Game Pass.
Because like the retro game store I go to has it like for like $3 or $4, and it's kind of like, but I know Arkham City's good. I know Arkham Knight's good. I know Arkham Asylum's good. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
have
much about Origins.
Arkham Knight is on Game
Yes.
Pass, and plus I own it anyway, so but Gotham the new one's not out yet. It's not
Yeah.
on Game Pass, but
The only one I want to play that's new is going to be, of course, Kill the Justice League, because that is the last role for Batman the Animated Series voice. Oh, what was
I
his
don't know.
that one that passed recently?
You mean Kevin Conroy?
Yes, he plays the Batman in Kill the Justice League, where you play as the Suicide Squad. Harley, Croc, Deadshot, Boomerang, and a couple others. Because that's what they advertised at the most recent like gaming expo. They're all like, "This is Kevin's last role."
Upside is I 3 months. How was it under T? The reason why I was able to look so quick is because I have my Xbox up and running, so it's easy for me to check things as I go. Like you have your computer up and running. Just for your information, I do have the Cowabunga. It should be able to.
Cowabunga collection.
Yes, I have that in my library, so you should have access to that too.
I have it on my PS4. You know me, it's Turtles. I went out and bought it.
I've yet to play it, but I have it on mine. It's like I wanted it.
Because you got both the full arcade editions of the Konami games.
Right.
And of course, the most recent game, Revenge of the Shredder. I love it.
It was on Game Pass for a while. I think
Yeah.
I played a chunk of it, but there's like a section of it I couldn't get past.
Me, my brother, and my kid played through it. Like we played the whole way through it. We haven't unlocked everything, but we have beat the game.
I couldn't get past the scientist that turned himself into a fly. I
Oh,
couldn't get
Baxter
past that.
Stockman.
Yeah, I couldn't get past Baxter.
I can hop on the Xbox sometime. We can two-player it.
But just that I couldn't get to him. I was having issues. Like, all right, I'll pass it.
It's a good one.
And I had fun to get the Cowabunga collection.
Oh, that's a good one too. I
But
love both of them. I like those two.
I don't think you'd be able to get the Shredder's Revenge because I think that's Game Pass, and I don't think you'd have access. You might be able to download it through my account on your system
Right.
because my account's on yours. You'd be able to download it and do it. Anything that you download through Game Pass, meaning my show's account doesn't have Game Pass, but if I download something off of Game Pass, I'm able to play it on my show's account because it's downloaded to my system.
Okay.
So
Well,
you should be able to do it that way.
if it's a couple bucks, I don't mind picking up something. At least that's how I roll. But yeah, no, I was just curious because everybody's been playing the new Dead Space, and I'm like, whoa. So, is there any movies or games that you're looking forward to playing?
Let's see. Shredder's Revenge on
Or
it's
watching?
like $25. It's $25. $20 with Game Pass. 25, but 20 with Game Pass. But it's usually depending, it might be on sale.
I know Limited
Stuff like that.
Run had it pretty cheap for a while, but you know how Limited Run is. Let me see.
As for what I'm watching now, getting into
Shredder's Revenge is $30 on many platforms, but it's cheapest on PS4. Like it's just under $30 on PS4 for a physical copy.
Like I said, that's for physical, digital for 25
But
on
you get a
Xbox.
free pizza with the physical copy.
Ooh,
An extra large Pizza Hut pan pizza. Come on, man.
come on, man.
That's like
For me,
what,
what I'm
15
watching now
bucks,
is
20
that
bucks? Pays for itself.
I've been watching the Night Court reboot.
Decent.
It's okay. It's not. I'm willing to give it at least the first season a shot,
If you could
and
reboot
that's saying something.
any
It's not like
if you could reboot any TV series, what would you reboot and why?
maybe the
Me,
18.
the A Team, despite the fact that we got an
Yeah,
A.
maybe the 18. Yeah. Um, they already tried to reboot Knight Rider, didn't fucking work out.
It never does.
I want.
Me personally, as strange as it sounds, I would reboot Northern Exposure. Do you remember that one?
I do, but I haven't really watched it.
The doctor who gets stuck up in Alaska because he gets like a contract where they pay for all of his
Right.
college, but he's got to be up there for like 4 or 5
Oh
years.
yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a small town.
And the bartender wasn't the bartender like a former descendant of a former king or some shit like that.
Yes, and
I remember seeing a couple episodes that it just didn't hook me too much.
he married like the high school beauty queen up, who was supposed to be married to the rich guy, but it didn't work out. So she went with the bartender, who's like twice her age. He also used to
How
race
about
like
this as
sled
a
dogs and whatnot.
how about this as a reboot?
Huh.
See if it'll work nowadays. Reboot Xena. See if it'll work in today's market.
It might, but would you also reboot Hercules in the same process? Or would you wait?
I'd say do it the reverse. The way Hercules started with everything, with the movies and the series, and it spawned Xena because she was a popular character.
to start with
Why not
Xena?
do it the reverse?
Okay.
Start with Xena, see if it works. Have Hercules to see if it'll work the opposite direction.
Okay.
That way, you're not starting with something male oriented.
Okay.
You're starting with something female oriented, and see if something that way works out. And it could kind of work, especially if it's not, as we stated before, shoving down that agenda down the throat,
Yes.
but it kind of kept the same similar things that this is in essence a strong woman.
Have that
kept
as a
everything
flavor,
tongue in
but
cheek.
it's not there. Yeah.
Not there, right? And she's not like I'm doing it, but you could have it woven in a little bit. I or if you want, how about this for a classic old school show? Reboot Designing Women.
Okay.
I know some people might go say it's blasphemy and say Golden Girls, but no, you don't know. No, even that I'd say that's blasphemy.
That.
You don't touch that. Designing Women, because that some of that stuff touched on a lot of
What about Murder She
is,
Wrote, but with a new actress?
Maybe.
Angela Lansbury kind of made that show.
Yes.
But
yes,
we could find a new older actress who could play that part.
Bring in Dolly Parton.
No, I've always wanted to make a movie with Dolly Parton and Cassandra Peterson. You have Elvira and Dolly Parton as sisters.
I want to. Honestly, I saw your post where you put that up. It's like some part of me wants to see that shit. Part of me wants to see that shit.
It'd be a sequel to like the first Elvira movie, but then you find out she has a sister and she's all country, and yeah, it just works. Personally, though, I want to get John Cena, put in a little horn noise. But I want him to play Son of Ernest.
You know, oh,
Ernest P. Worrell, Son of Ernest. You can have him all done up with the like gray shirt, the jean vest, the jeans on, the gray painter's hat. He's cleaning up at the local gym, accidentally gets involved into wrestling. It would play out. Tell me you would not watch that movie.
I would probably watch it just for like, I'd probably angry watch it. And if it's done right, I'd be forced to be like, motherfucker, man, motherfucker. I wanted this hating this bullshit, and I wound up loving it, motherfucker.
But the trick is you got to get John Cherry involved, who was, of course, the original Ernest, kind of like wrangler and writer for the scripts. You got to get him involved. You got to bring in some other elements of the surviving casts from the show. He needs to have Rimshot, the dog. Come on. We got this. It's a money maker.
That's the aspect you got to figure. I know I have it lurking around my place. I'm sure you have a copy somewhere. And that is Disney's Atlantis.
Yes.
The Lost Empire. I think. Have you listened to the commentary on it? Granted, yes. Have you listened to the commentary on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Cookie's lines, well, they said Cookies, and the guy who played the demolition expert never were on script. They never went by the script. Never. And
I love the fact that they used Mike Mingla's artwork, the guy who created Hellboy, for basically the designs in Atlantis. So obviously, if you remade it, we know who we want to direct it.
Yeah,
Guillermo del Toro.
Some part of me wants to see Tom Holland as the professor, who's voiced by Michael J. Fox.
It's like the other day, I was debating with Jay Saunders of Blair Witch fame. He's talking about bad movies as remakes, and he throws out Killer Clowns as a bad movie with Taika Waititi to do the remake, and I'm like, no, that's completely in
No. See,
I was like, number one,
something like that.
I'm like, number one, Killer Clowns is not a bad movie. Number two,
it's cheese. There's different.
It's cheese.
It's a bad movie, but it's not bad.
It's not intentionally bad. It's bad to be good. And not only that, it's the Kaido brothers, who are notoriously special effects artists, making a movie that's special effects heavy. So you're not going to get somebody like Taika Waititi to direct it. Now, if I had Taika Waititi to direct a movie, granted, I feel kind of cheated that we didn't get his version of Akira, because yes, he was set to do the live action Akira, and my brain just goes. But I could see Taika Waititi redoing Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, because he's a Kiwi, and it's from his country, and it's right up his crazy ass alley. If you wanted to,
Robert Rodriguez for Akira. Robert Rodriguez for Akira.
Oh, Robert Rodriguez for every anime movie based. Let's do Nausicaa. He could do it.
He did. I'll say this. Though there were some, you and I could both agree, we said this before, there were some inaccuracies with Battle Angel, but he did such a phenomenal job.
I want the sequel.
I want the sequel too. He put Volume 1 with a mix of Volume 2, Volume 2 with a mix of Volume 3 with a mix of volume 2, have book 2 be the bridge between the two story arcs. Like,
Right.
have that little bit of 2, put in 3, and do it that way. Oh, dude,
It's so good.
he did such a good job.
It
Such
was
a good
awesome.
job. It's like there's everything that he was needed. It was like, just let Cameron bring in the cash, let him produce. Just let Robert Rodriguez do everything else. Let him work the budget. Let him work his magic.
Oh yeah.
Let him work his magic.
Agreed. So, anyways, I should probably wrap this up because we've gone on way longer than what I've expected to.
Yeah, all your fault. All your fault, damn it. It's all your
There's
fault.
so much stuff we had to cover in the reboot because
And there's so much
reboot.
and so much that we could probably talk about too.
Yes,
So
yes, we
but
could
for
go
now.
on for hours. But anyways,
And we already did.
so let's go over again who you are, where we can find you.
I am Chris. I'm known as the Reverend Godfather on the Long Coat Mafia podcast. I am found wherever podcasts are found. Just search for the Long Coat Mafia podcast. We are usually the first ones that come up. Just look for the little man in the suit as the graphic, and we are there. Website is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/longcoatmafia podcast. So, and we are on Instagram at Longcoat Mafia. I think it's been such a long time since I did this aspect of shows, so I'll just leave it at that.
Groovy, groovy. And how do you feel about your OnlyFans premiere?
I feel so dirty.
Good luck with
So,
the nipple. I don't need luck. So, anyways, this, of course, was Sasha After Dark, the podcast The Darkness. I, of course, am Sasha, the first and thus far only trans pan horror hostess out of Pennsylvania. You can find me anywhere, social media, YouTube, etc. Just look for Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, and you'll find me in my dark, dark ways. Obviously, Chris is a constant contributor to our show, and we'll gladly have him back on anytime he wants to be.
More like constant annoyance.
It's okay. It's fun. But anyways, we thank you, and as I always say, unpleasant screams.